Mike.
I had to mute. My bad. What's up, family? This is your girl, Courtney Michelle, the Renaissance Belle, and we are back again with a new show. And it's something that I have been thinking about for a while that I wanted to speak about. We always hear, especially on these platforms, how the Black marriage rate, how it's so low and how it was back in the day. And then we always talk about, divorce and how it's so high. So I kind of wanted to do a deep dive in it. I kind of want to figure out, how did we get here? And are we willing to maybe make some changes to get it back? Can we resurrect it? This is what I'm trying to figure out, and hopefully we can come to some kind of resolve or start the resolve tonight. I probably think and we were back in the 60s, we were like a 64% marriage rate. And then where we're right now, I believe it's like a 30%, where it declined more than 50% within the short period of time. How did we get here? How did we start? And, what I hear from a lot of men, they're like, well, it's because of feminism. And the government made it so easy for women to leave the home and to, X the man out. So the women then feel like they didn't need a man. And so they became unmarriageable. And so I'm hearing this and I'm like, okay. So then I started to do some research. I want to talk about feminism in a moment, but if I can, and y'all bear with me, because, I like to look at stats and facts, so I try not to go off opinions and how I feel. I try to research a little bit more to try to get some concrete evidence to see how it started. How did it become where Black women and Black men were the most married, and now we're the least? Where did it begin? So let me pull this graph up. And first, let's look at this. Where we're now. And I got this on blackdemographics.com. And what I found interesting, because a lot of people will tell you that Black women are the least married, and Black men are more married than Black women. So let's look at the numbers. So Black marriage right now, and this is from 2019, was at 30%. Right now, Black men are married at 33. Black women are married at 27. However, when it says never married, if you look at the Black women and Black men, it's actually more Black men that has never been married than Black women. What is the change on that? Widowed. A lot of Black women, which we don't realize, outlive their husbands. Women live longer. So it actually is kind of a farce when we say, well, Black men are just married more. Well, you guys have never been married the most out of Black women. So I want to take a look at that graph because I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay, we're at 3%. How can what happened? Look at the chart. And again, it details from the 1890s up to 2010, the increase or the decline of marriage. Now, a lot of times it says, about Black men in prison, but I'm going to counter that. What happened around the 60s and the 70s to the 80s that made it spike up? Now, we can talk about feminism, but I think a lot of times we tend to forget about a lot of stuff that happened in the 60s that took a lot of our Black men away. One of the things that took our Black men away was the Vietnam War. Over 300,000 Black men left us and went to the Vietnam War. It changed our Black men. Our Black men wasn't in the home because they was fighting for this country. During that time, we had welfare, which expanded back in 1964. Head Start program started because women now had to work. Food stamps started. The WIC voucher started. What else been? Affirmative action. Which now come more get women in the workplace. But however, if you can get a Black woman, then that's 2 strikes, which a lot of Black men were losing jobs out because now a company can get a Black woman to take care of the Black, which is the race, and the gender, which is the woman. Another big thing that we never look at as far as, what happened in the 60s besides just feminism, J. Edgar Hoover. If you remember J. Edgar Hoover, because I love the Black Panther Party and I researched them. Countertail Pro. The essence of, they thought that a lot of our civil rights leaders were communist. So what did J. Edgar Hoover did? Push drugs in our community. And that's where it started. A lot of where it started. To silence our Black men, to silence our leaders, to infiltrate the greatness that we have. They pushed drugs into our community. And this just started back in the 60s. So was it feminism that was the core part of where it started, where we were the most married and now we aren't? I think those particular things in history that we tend not to talk about on these platforms had a huge deal. Let's talk about feminism. I want to talk about feminism because it's a big thing. With feminism, it was women's right to choose, and I don't have to marry you. I don't have to work from home. I can work too. I can do anything you can do. I can do better. But what's the feminist movement really for Black women? I was looking at pictures of the feminist movement, and for me, and I asked my mother and even my grandmother, I was like, well, were you guys out protesting with these white women? Were you burning your bras? Whereas in the 60s, were you just leaving your man and just going out to the workplace? And they was like, no, we weren't doing that. We understood that the feminist movement in the 60s was for white men. And times in the 60s, it was a civil rights movement. So a lot of the Black were torn. It's like, yeah, we want rights for women. We're fighting race as well. So a lot of Black women was torn and didn't feel like the feminist movement back in the 60s were for them. So what did they do? I'm not sure if you guys have heard about what a womanist is. We never talk about this on our platforms either, but it is a thing. This is what Black women did. In 1979, Alice Walker, who is an amazing author, but also wrote The Color Purple. Oh, how Black men love that book. But she wrote The Color Purple. She also coined the term womanist. It was her idea that because the feminist movement was not for Black women, that we're going to have and create our own organization for Black women. And we called it the feminist movement. So in actuality, when women started to want to be on their own as far as the Black women, it wasn't in the 60s with those white women. It started back in 79 and really didn't become really popular to the 80s. So that I said was in the 80s. It was the reasons. It was feminist. And I'm cool because like, you know what, look at some idea of what the feminine movement looked like in the shows. I don't think I'm gonna pull up. We'll fix that. They want to pull up now. But I did a Google search. Oh, there we go. Of in the 60s, what feminism looked like. It was privileged. It was white women. You have one of us here and there. You know, one of us always going to pop up in something we don't need to be in. But, you know, this is the face of feminism. This wasn't our fight. They didn't even really want us to be in there. So Black women started their own, which is the womanist movement, which still lives on today. And this is still why we still haven't changed the narrative of why we are not getting married at a rate that our mothers and our grandmothers did. Let's get this out. No, I don't know what's going on. Y'all bear with me. We're going to get through this because I think this is very, very important for us to realize. It's important for us to realize where we started. And once we realize where we started, we can understand where we can change and how we can grow and how we can change these numbers. Do I think that stats can change? Do I think that this 30% has to be the marker of where we stand? Do I think that we're supposed to get to 27%, to 20%? No. I would like to see this change. I definitely believe that in our community where some people will say that it's trash. Well, how do we correct it? We correct it with our families. We correct it by having mom and dad in the house, by having them get married. And I really want to dissect that today. Can we resurrect marriage? Is it worth it? If understanding what happened before doesn't change what can happen now. Can we look at the womanist movement, the ideology of that movement, which says, you know, Black women, that feminist movement wasn't for you, but however, we're going to bring that in our community, which it still stands today. When we look at BLM, the Black Lives Matter movement, with the 3 women that started were womanist. And I think they took it down from the website, but I know like a year ago, they said that they wanted to crush the nuclear family. They didn't want mom and dad in the house. For what? Matter of fact, they didn't say anything about men. They did say something about transgender men, but not men. So I want to bring somebody up who I adore. He was on the show last week and we kind of got a little opened, and I was surprised last week because I thought it was a really good show about, you know, dying and being lonely, and no one wants to be alone. But looking at these numbers at 30%, how are we going to change that? I don't think anybody, especially anybody listening to my voice, wants, you know, us to continue to be the same because what we're doing isn't working. So, CJ, I'm going to bring you up. This is my guy.
What it do?
What is going on, CJ? How are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Court?
I'm doing well. So first, I'll let you introduce yourself, who you are. You know, I know your podcast, so I'll let you rock for a second.
Well, I go by the name CJ100. 50% of the FYE100 Podcast, THE space FYE100 Podcast. And our whole mission was trying to end the battle of the sexes. So
Mm-hmm.
we have a dynamic where I was raised by a single mother. My partner was raised with his father that took care of everything, and he had a mother in the house as well. And I'm divorced. He's married. So we try to give two different perspectives that can kind of give us some insight. So that's what we all about. Like, we're not about beating down one side, of just having an honest conversation where people actually listen to each other. So that's what we're all about. Freezing up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. So now you've been married before.
Right.
Okay.
That's
Now you're not married anymore.
No, I'm divorced. Big
Do
divorce.
you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, I got married young. Well,
Mm-hmm.
young from what I was told to be married.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I got married was because my father has what four baby mamas. And
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it like, okay, so one thing I'm recognizing is that we're not being married. Maybe that's part of the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I decided to do. My ex wasn't pregnant at the time. We just were together. We both came from a single parent home, and we both dealt with abuse. We've dealt with not being able to speak our true voices. So me and my ex-wife were an escape for each other. That idea of you gonna pay bills in this house if you're gonna be here. I've been paying bills since I was 16. So I've been helping Mom Deuce for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason I chose to marry her was because we loved each other, but it was more of a dependency on each other. So
Mm-hmm.
we were together, I would say 10 years. We were together since high school. Um, and it got to a place where we kind of got tired of each other. Um, and she was starting to make money because at first I was just paying all the bills while she was going to school. But when she
Mm-hmm.
graduated, started making money, things changed. It was a different dynamic. It was a two income, so she was feeling like she got more of a say. And I just wasn't ready. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you. Like, I was paying all the bills, but barely. You feel me? Like, I was just trying to get by, and that frustrated her, which ultimately frustrated me. And we had a daughter, so um, it just kind of started to go sour. So I remember, and I'm not proud of this moment, but I'm gonna go ahead and speak about it. Um, there was this day that I didn't get to work because in my old job, I used to check gas lines for the city. And if it rained, you really couldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did was I had to stay home. And she told me she had just started working. And this pissed me off. She was like, you can't just be missing days work coming with these little checks. I'm just gonna keep it real with you, man. Next thing I knew, I had some orange juice in front of me. That shit was on the wall. I snapped and I went and
Mm-hmm.
grabbed her. And I was like, you know how much I sacrificed for you to talk to me like that? Like, snapped out or whatever. But I ain't never hit her, but I snapped though. And she ended up leaving. So that was like the day that our marriage ended. And to wrap this up, it just became to a point where I was better after I left, and she was too. Like, her life got better. She was able to experience some things, and not just hot girl summer. It's not that. It's more complex than that. It was that
Mm-hmm.
she had a chance to experience being an adult. We didn't have that. Like, we had to jump into not just being an adult, but like being free to do what she wants to do. We jumped into being together so young that we never got a chance to just be adults. So I don't know, man. We just end up
Yeah.
divorcing, but that got ugly. But I guess I can get into that a little later. I don't want to do a monologue.
Well, no. Well, let's talk about that because,
Okay.
um, yeah, let's jump right in it. I think a lot of times where I see when we talk about can we resurrect marriage, I
Hmm.
think a lot of men don't want to.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of men saying that it's a bad deal. Like,
Yeah.
well, I would marry and women are to divorce me, well, not going to divorce me, but they file for divorce more than men. They
Right.
try to take, my money, my house, the kids, the car,
Right.
the dog, cat.
Right.
So, a lot, I don't, I don't think it's the majority of men, but I think it's a
Mhm.
lot that's saying why. Now, before you answer that, do you want to get remarried?
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
must. I get remarried. Yeah.
So, why do you want to get married? And what do you say to those men that says, it's a bad deal?
Well, the reason I want to get married, is I want a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
As a kid, my dream was to be a husband and a father because I didn't have it. I didn't have a father. My mother didn't have a husband. So my objective was to be the opposite of that. And that's kind of where that started. Um, I mean, it's just beneficial. Like I understand the courts. I've been in them. You feel me? That
Mm-hmm.
it's not in your favor. So I don't have an issue with being married. I have an issue with the institution of marriage, the way that it's structured. If things go wrong, it's like an ultimate penalty for a man. But I mean, you have to have something for the take. That's one thing. But as far as being divorced, I mean, it costs a lot of money, bro. And then when it came to me wanting custody, just a fair share of custody, that cost me a lot of money too, and it cost me a lot of frustration. I feel like I lost a couple of years off my life dealing with that, but that was just like I chose the wrong woman, and I recognized it. I knew it before I chose her. I just felt the need to stay with her because we like needed each other, which is the wrong reason to get married, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
So I would tell brothers, man, take your time. You feel me? Vet women. Like, ask the real questions. Like, don't ask like her favorite color matter. You feel me? But
Mm-hmm.
like, check to see is her father in her life, or does she have stable men in her life? Um, and I would say listen to, listen, pay attention to what she does. Because selfish women show themselves, like they show it. Like I knew that my ex-wife was selfish in her own ways. So I just ignored it. Like it's sir, you have to have a hard line. Make a hard line for what you want from a woman. And don't make it just purely physical, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like I do want a nice looking woman. Don't get me wrong, but I've dealt with women that I thought weren't the most attractive, but they were solid though. You feel me? It
Mm-hmm.
didn't work out, but I valued that more than I valued her ass being fat. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's like, cause it
Okay.
gets old, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sex cool, but it gets to a point where you get tired of being a thought out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get tired of going through the motions of, okay, let me see what she about. Let me see what she on. Do I have to finesse this situation? Can I be real with her? Like all these type of things. It's like it's not a good deal. So I would just say the reason to get married more than anything is legacy, bro. Like I want a junior. You feel me? And I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be in a situation where we're not in the same home. I'm not getting married till I can provide 100%. That's just me. I'm not knocking nobody else, but I'm not getting married till I can provide everything and have my family in the home. That's the best reason to get married is for family. I get why they feel the way they do, but it doesn't change the fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's good that you brought that up because was once by God where when a woman
You're breaking up.
wants to be married or when he's ready to be married,
Mhm.
and I think the answer was more like uh, when they're financially able and ready to take care of a family.
Right.
So, and it's nothing sooner or later. Once they're financially stable, then they're ready to get married. So, do you think that's true? Is there any truth to that?
I think that play a part in why like guys are frustrated a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I thought I just was like, I want a woman, like let's get married. Like I didn't understand like the importance of making sure I was ready for it, being in the position, even if you can't do 100% of the bills, but you can hold your own. You got money put up, you got cars, you got a house, like you got your own to where you're structured and stable, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the guys that do a lot of growling and yelling, like those guys, like, and I don't mean for everyone, but the guys that just do the extra, it's like you upset about where you are because I don't. I think it's a disconnect between social media and real life. Because
Mm.
don't get me wrong, I see some of these feminists, I hear some of these feminists, but I see them online and I see them in person, and the energy is like different. I mean, it's just
Hmm.
I hear what these folks got to say, but in real life, like I know girls that are I'm woman, hear me roar, And I hear the men that I'm super masculine, I run everything, but they get with a pretty woman and they just turn into nothing. Like they get soft. So
Mhm.
it's a disconnect somewhere, bro. But I I don't know, man. I just really believe that you gotta be ready for it. And it's a whole bunch of things that come with it. It ain't just money, but it's definitely a part of it because she want provision. It ain't got to be I don't think the women I meet don't ask for 100%.
Mhm.
But like give a 60-40. You feel me? Like, and if you're not paying 100%, let's say it's 50-50. Like you can't just say keep the house clean. You always cook unless I don't know how to cook. Um, you manage everything. It's gotta be fair. It's not about the 50-50. It's just about being fair. Whether you're doing 100% or not, it has to be balanced some kind of way. Like you can't just ask for everything and not give her that masculine energy she deserves back. It's just not gonna work like that.
Got it. So I know we talk a lot about, how can a woman prepare to be a wife? You have to prepare to be a wife.
Right.
And this is something that a lot of Black women, we don't know because we weren't taught.
You
Let
know,
me go back to this
can I say
graph
something real
that
quick about what you just
yeah, go
said though?
ahead.
Um, that's something my ex said to me when we first started talking. She was
Hmm.
like, I really don't know how to be your woman. I just know how, like, okay, I gotta cook sometime. I gotta give you some box sometime. It's like she didn't understand it, but see, her mama didn't teach her. Like her mama, she was taking care of kids before she was able to be an adult. So
Hmm.
a lot of Black women go through that, and I feel the frustration. I do. I just want you to listen to the other side of it. That's why I think a lot of men's frustration is. You get one side of it. Women went through this. It's like women own oppression or something. It's like, damn, like we go through it too. You feel me? Like you was raised in a single parent home. Guess what? I was a boy in there, and my mama wanted me to be the man of the house before I was a
Hmm.
man. So it's a whole lot go to that. But yeah, I just want to say that.
Yeah. Well, no, you're right. So at the beginning, I don't know if you heard, I was trying to get more in depth where
Mhm.
it's where did it start? And I
Right.
said a lot of stuff which, the feminist movement as far as with Black women didn't start till later on, and we still are holding those concepts true today, which is why we're still at a 30% marriage rate today. However, we forget about, you know, um, the Vietnam War, and
Right.
J. Edgar Hoover, coming into Black communities and, you know, sending stuff trying to kill Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the
Right.
Black Panthers. So we don't talk about this, but I think it's important because this is huge in our community that messed our community up,
You
and
think
it
it's huge today
separated
though?
us. Say that again.
Do you think that that's a big factor today?
I do. So let me bring this chart back up.
Okay.
So another thing that I didn't know, which I and huge, is
You were breaking up. I can hear you.
Reagan
Damn.
Clinton era. A huge thing about her that she couldn't get over where it was the super predators. So back in the Clinton days, it was trying to arrest mass incarceration of Black men. And it was
Mhm.
completely huge. You can see the spike of how Black men just went to jail all of a sudden, and then how marriage dropped all of a sudden.
Right.
The Reagan era, of course, with the drugs, the crack epidemic, where they pushed crack cocaine into our communities and got mamas and daddies hooked on drugs. Crack babies was, huge. We don't talk about this and how it affected us and how this still affects. So I've said on the show a few times in '80s, as an '80s baby,
Mhm.
it was on drugs. And,
Yeah.
my mom had to divorce him because you can't marry or stay married to a drug addict when they robbing you in your own home.
True. True.
I can remember, daddy don't, he's better now. Me and my daddy's cool. So I hope he don't get mad. But I can remember one time coming home, me and my brothers and my mom, and I want to say I was in the first or the second grade, and we had someone broken into our apartment, and we had one of those big air conditioners that's in the window.
Yeah, that's
Well, that
working
joint
some
was
hard.
kicked in and they came through the window.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing footsteps on our footprints on our couch. And there was stuff that was taken, but what was interesting was all of my baby pictures were stolen too. And so we're like, why would anybody random steal our stuff, our TV, microwaves, but then steal our baby pictures?
Yeah.
Well, guess who it was? Dad.
Pops. Mm.
That I vividly remember, and how it is to, have a parent that's on drugs and, being an
Mhm.
80s baby. And so as a woman, what do you think my mom taught me? Not to depend on a man.
Yep.
Because my dad wasn't there, was young. So, and she had to raise 3 kids by herself until she met my stepdad years later. So a lot of women are being raised by parents, especially particularly mothers, that is teaching us how to be independent. But I don't think they did it. Well, I know they didn't do it for it to be harmful and to think that we would be here today.
Nah, I don't think that was the case either. Uh, I used to think that, but as you
Yeah.
just start to talk to older heads, and just kind of, because I'm from, we from the South, we from Tennessee, like we from it. It's still a
Mm-hmm.
Republican state today.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmama talked about like what it was like, but I think the disconnect is just what's happening today is like it's still there, like that mentality is still there, and honestly, like it doesn't need to be, and also a part of it. I don't really hear women say what you're saying. What they'll say is your daddy was nothing. I was told the same thing about my daddy. Little did I
Mm.
know, when I was 15, when I was getting a fight, I can't go into my whole background, but I was getting into so much trouble, and she didn't know how to handle me because I was a man. My nuts had dropped, so it was like, swinging that belt. I'm catching that. That ain't gonna work no more. So it got to a point where she sent me with my pops. It's basic. Like my life is almost like Boys in the Hood, bro. Like that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
how it happened. My daddy came down from Nebraska, out of all places, to
Mm-hmm.
get me. So I went to stay up there with him. But I just think that where men are having a disconnect with black women on this subject is like, okay, we get our forefathers dropped the ball for whatever reason, even though the government played a part in it. You put crack outside, or for me to teach me how to cook crack, I don't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now I understand we didn't know the ramifications then, but still, we decided to sell something that we could kind of see was harmful. So black men got to take that one. Our forefathers, I ain't selling no crack, but my forefathers got to take that. But okay, now here's a black man today that most of the brothers I know, they working hard, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that they great men, but it's like that the level of crackheads has gone down. And I'm in the trenches, so I know what's going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a small number of crackheads out here now, but versus when I was a child, you saw plenty of them. Like they was
The
everywhere.
crackheads has gone. They have calmed down. They have.
Right.
We'll
Because
give
they
it
used
to
to be
them.
at the gas station. They used to be at AutoZone asking to put your light bulbs in. Like, I mean, but it ain't like that no more. Not to that degree. So
It's
I
not.
just think that, like, I feel what you're saying, because it's true. You really can't dispute it. It's facts. I used to be a studier of Dick Gregory, so I know all about the past of the Black Panthers and
Mm-hmm.
the black movement. I understand it, because at one point I was just super pro-black. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of died down off that today, and I just want to be a man. I just want to be a father. You feel me?
Yeah.
But I don't know. At the end of the day, man, today is a choice. Today is a choice to say I don't need no man. Like, I think people miss it was black fathers' fault back in those days, but they had boys, and their boys saw the same way a woman heard from her mother that she had to take care of herself. Boys also said, I got to be better than that.
Mm-hmm.
But what they didn't understand was they were still missing the element of their father. We talk about that all the time on our podcast, because
Mm-hmm.
it's so important. Like, because it's a different set of rules that a father got for you that structure you. So I just think that most of us, like, we fight back against this narrative because we never got to tell our side of the story. And I just think that's what needs to happen. I think that's what the manosphere is today. I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
even some of the red pill content is like. Some of it is too much, but I mean, what happens when you give a junkie $1 million off the lottery? What are you gonna do with it? He gonna run through it. You know what
Be
I'm
gone in
saying?
that'd
So,
be gone
so
in a
we
good month.
so we finally got a voice in this manosphere space and other small spaces, and some men have gone a little too far out of their pain. But the fact is, man, we do need each other. But I just think, me personally, it's time for Black women to realize we ain't in the 80s no more. We ain't in the 90s no more. Like,
Right.
we're doing better. It's like we're doing better. I don't think you need a man that can pay 100% of your bills. I think traditional relationship, that shit's a wrap. Like, it's just, I really believe that, because women not going back to being barefoot and pregnant. They think it's wrong.
Yeah. So, well, let's go back because we're not in the 80s. But again,
Right.
right now, the women that you're dating,
Yeah.
were born in the 80s or,
Mhm.
early 90s. And so we
Okay.
have this ingrained in our head. So we're not
Okay.
living that today, but the women that we're dating and marrying are products of what our parents tried to protect us from, but not knowing that it was still harming us.
Right.
So I definitely think because of that, I think women have a distrust with Black men, and I think it's also
Mhm.
vice versa. We don't trust each
Yeah.
other.
Facts.
So how can we get trust back with us?
Whew. I mean, if I ever been asked a question that I don't know the full answer to, I think it's a combination of two things. I think first and foremost, and this is just because I'm a man, um, men gotta men gotta step up. And I don't mean financially, like that's happening. That's not what I'm talking about.
Mhm,
I got why you felt the way when Anton talked about our culture.
mhm,
I got that. I got where you were coming from, but I also agree with him. I don't know if you heard, you heard Drake album. I seen you share some stuff about the TSU. So you heard Drake's album, right?
mhm.
And in that song with Lil Durk,
Mhm.
Durk came on the song and said something about his girl having a brand, but he said, "I'm just promoting my bitch."
Right.
Like, that's a problem, bro. Like we I get it because I come from it. At one point I called my girl my bitch. You know what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
did. But bro, that we can't do that no more. And that's a part of our culture. It's literally embedded in our culture. It's bad B, it's trifling B, it's hot girl B, whatever you want to say. It's ingrained in our culture. So I feel like we got to be honest with ourselves. Like Kevin Samuel was talked about this one point. I definitely agree with him on. We have to
Mhm.
control our image. We have to control our image. It's just the truth. Because
Yeah.
I can't sit here and blame Black women or women, period, for everything. Because I'm a man, bro. Like, at the end of the day, like, I realized I chose who I chose. And part of that was because of the culture I was brought up in. It's not to say we don't have a good part of our culture, because we do. I can think of family reunions. I'm Al Green, barbecue sandals, like water gun. I know the good part of our culture. I know about the Black Panthers. I know about Angie Stone. I know what our good is. But today, it's like our culture just is like we support degeneracy. You
Mhm.
we will not show love to the dude or the woman as much as we would show the person that just got locked up, and we talking about free my nigga or
Right.
RIP. So I think that's where we got to start. It's our culture, like, and we got to take it by the horn, because I don't think it's just us. I think the powers that be is pushing it. You feel me? But we got to take a hold of that. We got to take control of that, man, because it ain't nobody else gonna do it for us. That's just the truth. Damn, she breaking up.
Mhm.
I can hear you now.
You're freezing up on me.
You good now? I hear you now. But no, I just
Hold on,
I get.
CJ.
Okay, okay.
I don't know. It started freezing up. CJ, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. So let me ask you a question too.
Okay.
Since you are in the manosphere, you with your podcast, you talk a lot about, relationships and the gender wars and trying to resolve it. So when
Right.
you were divorced, did
Mhm.
you have red pill rage?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And let me say,
Yeah.
and let me excuse me. It's storming here, you guys. So it's storming here in Tennessee. So y'all apologize.
They
But
got
go
they
ahead.
got plenty of jokes too.
I know. But go ahead. Red pill rage. You had it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
It's a part of it. Like I don't have an issue with red pill per se. It's a lot of this shit I see is the fans, bro. Like they don't know how to compartmentalize what's being said. Is that the right word?
Hmm.
Maybe. I don't
Yeah.
know. You know, I ain't no C student. I barely graduated student. So um I if I had to say, man, when I went through what you call the red pill rage, it was because I had what I was hearing. I started with Joe Rogan. No, first of all, I went to jail. That's what changed me. After I got divorced, I went to jail for some stupid I did. Then I was like, all right, this can't work because my daughter gonna need me around. I can't, and people around me I was losing. So that it made me want to like learn how to be a better man. So I was literally looking up stuff like how to be a better man, what I need to do better because I didn't have it. I didn't have that male leadership all the time. I had great uncles, but they had their own children. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I didn't have it on a daily. But what happened was, man, I was hearing so much of it, and I would never be able to say what I felt that I just listened to that to where it was like that was all I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear about what men go through, and that's necessary, but you gotta like move on though. Like you gotta mature in what you're learning because you can't just be focused on what women do wrong. You can't focus on that. You can acknowledge it, but I don't know if I said this on the last show. If I waited on my ex-wife to be accountable for the stuff she did, I would lose my mind, bro. Because
Mm.
like she's the one got to accept it. I can hold her accountable, but she's the one that has to be accountable. So it's like at some point you got to get to a space where, all right, I know how to be a better man. I've learned from these brothers, and I can speak on all of them because I've been listening in this space for years. The crazy ones, the outlandish ones, the calm ones. I done heard them all. So I done heard these guys, and I took what I need. I'm not a fan of no man. I'm not a fan of anybody. I'm not a fanatic of anybody. But
Right.
I did take what I could take from these guys, and I applied it. Not everything I got right, but I'm working on it. But I took what I can take from it, and that was it. I don't go jump in women's comment sections and say, well, you black whatever ain't this, and it's like I ain't gonna do all that because I understand. I understand like it's more about me, my life. Y'all see me on this stage right now. When it's
Hmm.
over, I'm turning my camera, I'm turning my mic off, and I got to deal with me, so I can only hold myself accountable. So I went through the red pill rage. I did. I just didn't care nothing about no woman, but it was like it was not making it no better. It really made it
Mm.
worse. It made it worse because women weren't trying to deal. Well, they don't want to hear that shit. Like, don't nobody want to hear you talk bad about women all the time. And I'll wrap
Hmm.
up on this, but I remember I was at work and I was talking about my baby mama to this woman that I had been talking to my baby mama about the whole time this was going on, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, "Do you understand that that's unattractive?" And I was like, I don't get so it happened to me, so I don't care if it's unattractive. And I just moved on from it. But that was 2 years ago. That
Hmm.
stuck with me because it was like, okay, it's not bad to speak on this, but if this is your focus all the time, bro, you're gonna be bitter. That's on both sides. The single women that do the same shit, I ain't gonna say her name. I ain't even gonna say her name, but
Hmm.
it, it's a lot of women like this in all these spaces that they just can't let go of the hurt. They just can't let go of stuff not going their way. Everything happens to everybody, bro. Everybody goes through something. So use these. If you like Kevin Samuels, take what you can take from it. But don't go around saying his sayings. Don't go around thinking you're him
Hmm.
because you don't know his life and you don't know what he's been through or done to earn the right to say it. You can't talk like a millionaire and you only making 40,000 a year. That's just a fact. That's just
Right.
a fact. It ain't no other way to see it. So I went through red pill, but I graduated from that class, man.
Mm,
I like the manosphere better. I'll say that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Are you scared to get married again?
Um. Yeah, scared is the right word because I'm not like if I was fearful at one point where I was frozen, like I was never gonna do it.
Mm.
But I'm still a little scared. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to risk it. I don't care if she check out on paper, man. You got to go through it. It ain't no other way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, no, what can women do to, be more likely to get approached by, a good man, and is always fit, feminine, and friendly. So I think a lot of women are understanding that's what it takes to, come to the door.
Mm-hmm.
But what other attributes do men look for in a wife?
I'm gonna answer that, but to that fit, feminine, and friendly deal, I don't disagree with that because it's some guys are like that.
Mm-hmm.
You can be not the most fit woman, but be pleasant, be
Mm-hmm.
dainty, be nice. You'll have guys approach you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got partners, man. My boy Ted's the five, man. He like women that's round. That's just his thing. But they both married. They handling their business. So
Mm-hmm.
it's uh, but I think the thing women just need to do, and I'm not an expert, so when people hear me, don't be like, he don't know what he talking about, he divorced. I'm not saying I'm an expert. This is just purely opinion
Yeah,
and what
just
I've
your
seen
opinion.
in my life. Right. Um, women can be more, women can just be nicer and understand the concept that we don't care about your money. It's not that like what you're doing as far as financially or education doesn't matter. When have you heard men say, man, I need me a woman that's gonna take care of everything? You don't hear that. You hear men talking about what you hear men talk about is a fine woman, a sweet woman. Like we ain't just talking, we're not looking to be taken care of by a woman unless you a sucker, but we don't deal with that over here. So we ain't dealing with the guys that looking for a woman to put them up because that's to me that ain't no man. But I'm just saying, at the end of the day, bro, you got to stand on something. And a woman has to stand on her femininity. And I don't mean you can't ever get mad. Let's address that. You can get mad and you still be feminine, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because women do. My grandmama, I've heard her cuss 3 times. But I'm gonna tell you one of them 3 I heard her was because I got 18 conduct marks in one day. And she tore that ass up and she cussed me out. I deserved it. Sometimes you gotta let your ego go. You feel
Yeah.
me? But a woman can be feminine, bro. Like that's what you can do. You can understand that we look at you for something different. If we're not emotional and we don't know how to understand our emotion, if you're the most emotional being, help me interpret it. Help me understand what I'm going through. If I don't know, like they say, like if they say we're not emotionally intelligent, okay, teach me something. Because there are things women can teach me I can't learn from a man, and vice versa. So I just think the best thing you can do is just be pleasant, man. And it's not be a
Yeah.
robot. Just be pleasant. Just be pleasant. Like, give me a reason to, because I'll die for you if I love you. So give me a reason to do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to take some calls. So you're going to hang out with me while I take some calls?
For sure. Let's go.
Yay! But before I do, I want to talk to you about this because I also noticed, right? Now, when a lot of men speak like you that want
Mhm.
to get married and want to love their, future wife,
Right.
they get called a simp. Why? And what's a simp to
Um,
you?
simp to me is any man that doesn't have a true position and will say whatever it takes to get women to like them, agree with them, be in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's a simp. That's pretty much cut and dry for me. Um, the reason men get called a simp that love their women, I mean, it's a multitude of reasons because you can see simp behavior in a man that love his woman. Like but I don't think it's directly contributed to loving your woman. But I do see that as well. And I don't know the answer for that. I think some of them in red pill rage. I mean, I think, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean when we say red pill raised, we don't mean that red pill is the problem. It's that the man that's interpreting it. It's like he's not understanding what it means. But a, to me, I can't stand simps. Honestly, I think simps make it bad for men like me that stand on something. You know, I ain't the richest man in the world. I'm doing all right. You know what I'm saying? My house paid, my apartment taken care of, my truck paid off, all that, right? But there's a code that men do have still to this day. People might not follow it. Me and Tez, the FYE100 Podcast do. Men that I actually respect do, because I'm just an extension of the money I make. I'm not the money I make. That's just how I view it. And a lot of guys hide behind their money and still be simping. So I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. You know, I enjoy talking to you, CJ. You're always dropping gems. So
I try, man.
You do well. Shout out Tennessee. So I'm going to take a couple calls. We Rise International. What's going on?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing, Courtney?
I'm doing well. And yourself?
Pretty good. Thank you.
So can we resurrect it? Can we try to get our little selves together, men and women, and try to focus on how, you know, us trying to be married again and bringing our families together? Is that something that you want to do?
I think the question of can we is really, history has proved Black people can do whatever they put their mind to doing. The question I believe it really is when are we going to do what it is that's necessary, and when are we going to get serious about it to actually make it happen? First off, before I get into that, I just want to say shouts out to you for tackling the whole Black Lives Matter narrative and the womenist movement. That's pretty bold, and I'm gonna pray for you, because
she was 100 for that, man.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Yeah. And shouts out to you too, CJ100, because when you touched on, you know, the faults of the woman not being the focal point of the man, and you know, going out of your environment to figure out what it is you needed to know that you're trying to figure out as a man, you know, shouts out to you. And circling back to the conversation, I think we really got to get serious about making this happen, and put our egos to the side so that we can be what it is we need to be in our communities. I just got off the call, a Zoom call with my father and a few other men that are older than him. So we're talking about from ranges, you know, 45 to, you know, 60s. And I believe I was the only person on the phone call that actually had their fathers in their lives. And you know, a lot of men up there were divorced and everything, and you know, the whole issue with trust issues, that was a topic, and I won't get too much into details, but it became apparent to me that there's a lot of us out there that are severely lacking the information and knowledge in our community that it takes for us to be successful in certain areas. And we end up leaning back, you know, 30 years, 40 years in, and saying, look, I'm not this because I don't know this. And go ahead.
No, I don't mean to cut you off, bro, because you just spoke to my spirit right there. I agree with you 100%, because, you know, I'm just now getting to a place where I got my credit somewhat together. I'm learning how to do different things financially. That's one aspect. And then just learning how to control my emotion. That took a long time. I ain't gonna say I'm 100% together, because I still tee off, but I got it together to a certain aspect. But I had to figure that out on my own. Like, that's just the reality of it. I had to figure that out on my own, because I didn't have a consistent man. So I just wanted to shout you out for that one. That's 100.
Oh, nah, legit. So you just posed a good question though. Do we have to do it on our own? You know, and I'm not trying to pick or stir up nothing, you know, Courtney. I'm just using an example, right?
Go right on ahead.
All right. So there was a lot of talk on Lapeef, you know, in the Facebook group, and you know, in the comment section, you know, with the whole Amira speaking about certain subjects, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and our community as it pertains to our community and all that stuff.
Mm.
But I can say that as a man, learning about finances,
Mm-hmm.
some of the best books I've read on wealth management, um, and things of that nature were written by people outside of my community. So if you actually put me in a room, let's say as a black man, everybody loves pizza, right? We all love pizza. But not once have I ever walked into an Italian pizzeria and seen a black owned, black operated pizzeria. But I want one. You put me on a panel with someone that has a pizzeria for 3 generations, can give me the background and history and knowledge and nuggets on that I may be missing. Yeah, I could ignore the fact that they're right there and ask them about it because of my ego. I don't feel like I should have to go outside of my community to get information about anything. Or I can take advantage, pull what I can from it, and bring that back to the village.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
what white
So
folks did.
exactly. If you historically, if you look, everything really came from us. That's a deeper conversation. You know, like we've been disconnected, you know, from that, you know. So, but we every day we walk around and we see things, you know, the world running and being ran by people outside of our community. So if we have the ability to bump shoulders or rub shoulders with someone that has some knowledge that we just cannot find in today's age in our community, we should take advantage of it and really not bound ourselves down to this, you know, this whole block of, you know, and an ego that says, hey, you know, I can't be inviting people into our business like the whole world don't see us, you know, for what's really going on in our community. Like when our children go to school
Mm-hmm.
and the teachers look at the emergency contact information and they see that either mommy and daddy got different last names, or
Mm-hmm.
the emergency contact is mommy and grandma or mommy and auntie, and they see our kids acting up because daddy ain't at the house to lay down that discipline, the whole world really see us and our struggles and what it is we going through. So really trying to put on like we don't have this or we got the answers within our community all the time, or at least in our direct environment, it really hurts us. But if we really want to take it serious, we can go to you know, friends of ours, people that, you know, care about us that may not be part of our community, and get information, or be willing to read and research what people that are successful, you know, do.
Well, good. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you were chopping in and out, so I was just being quiet, waiting for you to speak.
Look, of course I was. So I'll say this, and to your point, I think as much as people see our problems online, I think it's important that they can see that we can resolve it. That there is power in our community where we have people in our community that can teach one, learn one. So it's important that even though we're showing that we're getting it wrong, we can also show how we're going to get it right. And I think that's important, that it makes us powerful and not weak. If we're always reaching out for handouts, welfare, child support, you know, all that, it's like, when are we going to be strong within ourselves? When is it going to be that I look at my sister that's doing it right and give her a chance? And I feel like sometimes we're kind of missing that.
I agree to the extent that sometimes, you know, we're missing it. You know, seeing those gems that walk around us in our own community. But I would be blind, or I would be acting as if I was blind to see that there may be a formula. You know, if there's a certain group of individuals, whether it be based off religious practice, whether it be based off cultural things, but they have a formula. This is not. It's like the majority of the cases in their community don't have the same results as I find in mine. I got to be able to have an open mind to at least have the conversation, whether I take a bit from it, don't act on it, and go try and get from somewhere else, and compare the knowledge that I've attained from different sources. You know, it's not a robbery of our identity, and it's not a robbery, or it shows self-hatred or any type of lack of love for self, to explore all the options that we may have in our arsenal. So that's
right.
That's it.
I'm going to take some more calls, but I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much. It's been really dope.
So,
all right, thank you. You have a blessed one. All right.
You too. Thank you.
All right, CJ.
All right, my boy.
We can bring in her.
Still on the job. Man.
How are you doing?
Oh, finally in. I thought I got caught.
What you got on the topic?
Well, when you talk about can black man be resurrected, I thought about it for a while because I recall being part of a particular church in Queens, New York, where they had a seminar about black marriages. And they broke down certain topics that affect it. Could be based on the upbringing. It could be based on the ideology. But most I had realized is more common denominator among black community is that they were never taught the proper foundation of what marriage really is. That's what I noticed because me being a Nigerian, our parents taught us marriage completely different from what being taught to an African American person, either they're in church or not in church. Regardless, in my culture, either you go to church or not, it's being taught almost similar to what it is. And I realized during my 20s, I interact with a lot of young guys out here in Brooklyn, and other areas in the city, people who come from the top come up, and they have a different ideology about marriage. So I start to wonder, when they getting married, based on what foundation are they getting married based on? Like Anton say, business like a marriage. Yeah, that is true, but it's another deeper factor to it because if you marry people for the wrong reason, and that marriage got broken up, what are the chances if those people learn from the mistake and try to make it better the second time?
Right.
You have to look at that because I put my parents, for example, my mom and my dad have been married and divorced, then married and divorced, married and divorced, married and divorced. Now, me growing up seeing that, at one point, I didn't want to get married growing up. But then, if I were to get married, I tell myself, if I'm going to marry somebody, it will not be from my culture. Because I watched my parents going back and forth. If you think about it, yes, they may have masculine energy on both sides. They both were bumping head. They both believe they were right. No one was wrong in their eyesight. They think they wasn't wrong in their own eyesight. I get that. But it made me not want to get married within my own culture. I want to get married outside my culture, but I look at the black woman. But that one became more difficult because my idea of marriage is based on the Bible, but it's much deeper in that level. I wasn't going to be someone with a dictatorship. Now, I talk to a lot of guys. They had a different view of marriage, which I find is scary because it's a lot of these black guys' idea of marriage is not in line to what marriage is supposed to be. How do you expect them to be a better man in marriage? That's number one.
What do you mean by that? What's wrong with the philosophy that some black men have? Like, what are you speaking to specifically?
In Brooklyn, coming from Brooklyn, people believe if you get married, you're the boss, you're the dictator, you do what you say, you do what you're told, you cook my food. That kind of that thing I first get out from the mouth. At first, I'm like, don't you think it's more than just that alone? Gotta be something deeper than that. Some believe like, if I marry you, you're my property. Now, I watch New York City. A lot of domestic violence lead to that type of whereby the husband for like the woman with their property, she's not allowed to step out. If she go to hide out with her family, she don't care with the family to bring up. That kind of thing was kind of like rampant during the late 90s, 2000 in New York City. There have been so many domestic abuse cases that happen out in New York City that too many women shelter because of that. Some people even kidnapped their wife for that. And you can look at it like, what were they thinking when they got married? They think that that's their property, they're trying to lease to that woman. Were they told what marriage really is? Were they coming at it in a very different way? Because I've been around people who...
Do you believe a man should lead?
That is technically yes. That biblically yes.
But do you believe it?
Do I believe it? Hell yeah.
Okay, that's all I
But
was wondering.
but how
Because
you
you're
believe it?
married.
I've been married for almost 12 years. I'm a
Yeah.
grandfather. Cause I got a stepdaughter, but even I choose that's my own. I raised that's my
Mhm.
own. I
Okay.
love my kids. I'm that kind of person. But when I watch other people, yes, men are supposed to lead, but how you are you supposed to lead? That's where the question comes to play. I'm a Christian, but I'm not the typical Christian. I do know the word. I will challenge you,
Mhm.
but I'm not someone who likes to quote scripture just for quoting's sake. I have to fully understand it and apply it to
Yeah.
myself before I say it to somebody else. Now I've been to church. I've seen some shady pastors. Some pastors were good, some pastors were not. I see the game they play. I understand that in the black churches. I think that's where the drop came from. The too many black churches are not teaching the right discipline.
Mhm.
Men are designed for structure and order. I'm sure Sheeta, you understand what I'm talking about when structure and order. Everything has to be in line. If you're not in
Yeah.
line, everything will fall apart. But living in a environment like New York City, it opened my eyes to a lot of things. I didn't realize what's really rampant across the country because you have different ideology, you have different people, different culture, different mindset. Sometimes the
Yeah.
black community has to mingle with the Caribbean or to mingle with the African. Sometimes mingle with the Italian because you have the Italian community, they're strong together. The Russian community, they're strong together. The Jewish community, they're very strong together. The Asian community, don't get me wrong, they're also strong too. But our community is kind of
Mhm.
like we all
We're not. Yeah.
scattered.
Yeah.
We have the Caribbean side, we have the African side, you have the African American side, but we never seen them mingle unless some kind of phase that was going on. During the time they had the court color ever back in the 90s. Everyone would wear that shiki or something, right? That was the phase. Then that thing fade out. They came back when they did the Black Panther party. Not Black Panther, sorry, the Black Panther movie, my bad. And when they had the Black Panther movie, all of a sudden everyone would be all African. I kind of find it funny. I watched the movie. There's a lot of Easter eggs that was thrown in the movie that people didn't catch on. There's some that they catch on. They saw me, they asked me, "Are you African?" I said, "Yeah." Is it true that they didn't watch it? Yeah, it's true what they were showing in the movie because in my country, African American were never accepted. You were considered to be second class African. You second class black.
Yeah,
That
that's
was the
true.
nature in Africa. I'm not gonna lie to nobody. From the 80 to the 90 to the 2000, all the old school parents were telling their kid, "Don't marry no African American. Don't marry no Jamo," referred to Caribbean. If you
No,
do
that's
this,
facts.
I was this. Oh, I was threatened by my own parent if I married someone out of my culture. "Quote unquote," they might disown me. It took years. There's some parents they don't even care.
It's
Yeah.
like
You get
both. It's
my
like both
African.
of us have taken on. It's like the African American black men and women have taken on. It's like we're arrogant, like we know everything. And it's like when I've I've dealt with Africans because I'm from the Haven and it's a area called the Cambridge Court where it's like nothing. It's like
Dang.
nothing. It's like nothing but Africans. But what I
Hey,
always would notice that they would build up that community and they gone. Like, but they had a way of life, and it's like we can learn from that for sure. I agree
and
with you on that.
and that's the thing because me being a Canadian, but I take Canadian because I was born in Canada. Both my parents are African. I was the only child of my family who was Canadian. All my brother and sister are American. But as I study other culture, I start to learn something different. I try to see the bigger picture. Why every culture is different? Why every people are different? What can I learn from this culture that can apply to my life? That was my mindset. I wasn't thinking like totally like I'll be all by myself. No, I wasn't that way. But I learned so much about it that allowed me to understand people's mindset that's affected them. Some people are
Yeah.
too blind to see their flaws. I'm not gonna lie to you. During the 90s, I used to hate this phrase. I know you know about it, the ghetto gentleman. And I was like, hold up. Ghetto is darkness. Gentleman is light. How can
Mhm.
darkness and light mix together?
It
That don't make
doesn't.
no sense. But it was a fade throughout New York City.
Hmm.
All these stupid ideas they got from hip. That's why I understand what Anton said. When
Yeah.
Anton said certain part of our culture, and black culture is whack, you got to agree because it's what they promoted the most in the forefront.
Yeah,
What in the back end, it wasn't dirty, it wasn't grimy, it wasn't ugly. It's just that it wasn't popular.
Yeah.
The hip hop industry made it a trend to disrespect black women. I'm not used to calling women stop, but I only call them in case I get out of hand or if I get too angry. I don't say it out of my mouth, but it's like a nasty language. You can't say that back in my country. My country have an issue with their kid copying American mentality. I was told I was too Americanized. I didn't act like I was African. I'm out of the norm. So you can imagine hanging around a lot of African people from a particular culture and be around for a good year or two, and you see their mindset they have, you be kind of shocked, like, whoa, I know it's that deep. I hang out with Japanese people, Chinese people. What they think very serious is education and status. They don't have the education. They don't have the fifth grade. My classmate got a B. He's scared as hell.
Oh, no, it's nothing but A's.
There you go.
That's right, nothing but A's.
I saw firsthand why he was scared. I saw his parents. He had to go down, bend his head, get a report card. Can I look up? I was like, oh. Yeah. Now I see why the Asian community is different from us. They take things very serious.
Very serious. And I think we as a community, we kind of play. Like even with marriage and women, waiting until we're in our 30s because we don't have a sense of urgency in our community.
Yeah, but you don't have old school parents like my mom who would tell by the time you turn 18. When are you gonna have my grandkid? I want to hear it. 21.
But you're different though, because you were born in Nigeria.
No, I was born in Canada.
You were born here. You're born in Canada.
That's raised in New York, but when you have African parents, you have African parents, there is still that value in you.
Right. Yeah. So culture. You're raised culturally like Nigerian. I'm raised Tennessean. Okay. So mom and them wasn't
Black Haven.
I would say this, Courtney. I am glad I was not born in Tennessee.
Well, you missing out. You got two Tennessee people.
It ain't all bad. It ain't all
bad.
Let me tell you why I say that. If my parents were living in Tennessee, I would have been more than harassed by black. Where you gonna marry this one? I don't like her. I would have to go into hiding just to avoid my mom questioning. Throughout my 20s, but I understand why she did that.
Yeah.
They don't believe in having their young son at a certain age not married.
I understand. And that's part of a culture that we need to look at too. And so I totally agree.
I'm not saying copy the whole thing, but learn from aspect of it that is kind of like beneficial.
I agree. All right, let me let you go. I gotta.
I know I can talk a whole lot, but I'm like a human dictionary.
I enjoy talking to you.
You're my sister. You know how that is.
Love you to death. Bye. Have a good evening.
Same to you.
Okay, so I want to bring this up. I had this on pause, and I want to talk about this because whenever a Black woman brings facts and stats, okay, it's blaming it on Black men. How is historical facts that I gave you graphs, I gave you stats on what happened in the 60s, the reason why that the breakdown of our family unit wasn't just because of Black women. It was, we were targeted as a community. And a lot of our Black men, mass incarceration, like as if that didn't happen. So for me, sometimes I feel like, a lot of Black men are wanting Black women not to be accountable, but be accountable of the entire reason why we are where we are. And quite frankly, it's not true.
Yeah.
And these comments are frustrating. What's bad faith? How is telling you historically what happened to our community from the Vietnam War to welfare to WIC program to COINTELPRO to the crack epidemic to mass incarceration to you being a super predator? Please. The fact that we don't want to acknowledge it because it might burn on some testosterone is not bad faith, it's truth. And this has nothing about manosphere or red. It's truth and it's honesty. And until we're able to open up our eyes and see what happened in the 60s that tore us apart, then we're never going to get anywhere. And it's never going to be fixed. You blaming the blame game. Well, how did we get here? It's going to be a blame game.
It's going, and that's where it's
so frustrating.
That's my frustration. It's not that like I get your point of history. I just don't go there. That's just not me. But what you're saying is not wrong. And I get tired of the blame game. Like, it's like at some point, like we got to come together and get this shit. And I don't mean come together in some YouTubian way, man. I mean, like, really coming together in our homes, at jobs, having serious conversations. And it doesn't just have to be about the past, but you need a spoon, you need a fork, you need a knife. Eat with different utensils. So we gotta deal with it in our own way. My way is not to talk about history. That's just me. But my way is to be like, personally, like, I just want us to have a real conversation. And that's what we're doing tonight. You got the trolls, but people forget.
And I'm with it.
People forget, man. People forget why we love Courtney from the beginning. It's like you get this comment. It's like she's not coming from a bad faith argument. You got to be real, bro. She came in rocking with us because she saw the problems. At the end of the day, man, you got to be fair and balanced, bro. You have to be, because it ain't gonna work. I get it. I get what our past is. I get all of that, and I get what men have been through with women. I went through it myself. You talking to somebody that got to pay $1,000 a month in child support for one kid. The state of Tennessee hit with a $20,000 back pay the first day I walked in, and I don't hate nobody. I'm not mad at Black women. I got an issue with her, which has been resolved. It's just what it is, man. At the end of the day, god damn, like, when we gonna get to the point where we really willing to move forward? Okay, we know what the past is, and it's not a shot at you, Courtney. I'm just saying.
No, you go ahead.
We know what the past is. We understand. If do your own research, you ain't got to go by what she posted. Go do your own research, get an understanding of it, because she's right. It affected how women had to step in a certain space. They had to. Right now, forget the reason. They had to do that. They had to do that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't think people.
My head big as hell. Shit. Take me off there, John.
There's comments that's been saying, all we do is talk about the problems. Well, in order for some people,
you broke up again.
Of course, the root of the issues hasn't been talked about. You want to talk about what a womanist is. If I ask majority of people here what's a womanist, they wouldn't know, because we don't talk about it. But that's a part of history that we don't talk about because no one wants to read it, and that was the Black feminism. That was our part. But if we don't know that, then how can we fix it? So let's bring up somebody else.
I get that point though.
What? Okay, Louisiana. Okay, what are we? Kentucky, Georgia mixed?
Yeah, you already know it.
Okay.
That's funny. Yeah.
What's going on?
Louisville. I'm from Louisville originally, raised in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
But my whole thing, and I was talking to somebody about this not too long ago, and she a woman. I think the whole manosphere, everything that's going on, the problem ain't gonna get any better until us as Black men understand that the source is us. It's always been us, even through history, even in the Bible. It is pointing at men, period. Even when God came down, when Eve took it from that tree, who was the first person that God approached? It was Adam. When he came down, the whole problem, it's always been the men that has.
He might be in Nashville, bro.
You said Nashville? No, I didn't Nashville.
I'm just messing with you, bro.
But I know you is. But even all throughout history, like pre-industrialized times, when men actually had to go out and hunt for their food, men had to actually put in the work before, or that's before was it what was the word am I looking for? They had the prearranged marriages, is what I'm saying. But men had to put in the work before they were, they received those blessings, before, marriages, anything like that. But I think the whole point of the matter is just that men, Kevin Samuels like to say that, black women don't take accountability. I think black men, we run from that way more than black women do. So that's just
I
my
disagree with
whole
that.
thing is what I'm saying. Man.
I'm not saying black men don't do it.
Everywhere.
I'm not saying black men don't do it, because I definitely see black men doing it. But
right.
I disagree. Because I'll say why I disagree. Because one dynamic that's forgotten is that our mothers raised us, and it's not all about them making us feminine. They basically held us accountable as well. Like, and even more, like I said, I was made to be the man of the house when I was a kid, bro. So it's like,
right.
I think some of it is just like, we don't understand what we're supposed to do. I give you that. Some of us don't understand what we're supposed to do. But to say that black men are the least accountable, like if you want to talk about race, like at the end of the day, we've been held accountable more than anybody. That's just a fact. Black men have been held accountable more than anybody. We've been everybody's whipping boy. Everybody's. That's just the reality. I'm not going against what you're saying, because I get it, because I can separate a generalization from you saying everybody. I know you're not talking about everybody.
Correct.
But at the end of the day,
right.
I've heard Kevin Samuels address black men on their BS. We need that. And I do think too many of us are sensitive to it. I agree with you there.
Mm-hmm. Like even what you just said, even what you just said, like you said, your mom raised you. The source of that is
my
there's
father.
no daddy in the home. There's no daddy in the home, man. So it always falls back to a man somewhere, man. That's what I'm trying.
Yeah.
I can't get with us going at, because I don't look at a woman trying to go toe to toe with a man. That is our job. Hold on. Especially.
Let me interrupt you.
I'm talking figuratively, I'm talking.
No. I'm not even talking about you. I want to address a comment where somebody was like, your father didn't do what he was supposed to do. All right, see, this is where black men have issue, right? I wasn't able to see my daughter for a year. Ask me why. Because it wasn't because I wasn't trying to be there. Because her mother figured out how to game the system. And in Tennessee, I don't know about y'all state, but in Tennessee, it's time spent with child, it's mother and father's income. That lets you know how much money she's gonna get in child support. She played the keep away game to where they gave me 60 days a year. How much my child support is now $1,000 a month. She played the game, right? And then my daughter was crying, telling me when I did get to see her that she missed me. I had no control over that. And my daddy went through the same thing. One thing I don't give my daddy a pass now. Let's be clear, because he didn't fight hard enough for me. I just how I feel about it. I know how hard it is, but I can't give him a pass. But that type of rhetoric is like, there are other forces at play. And it's not to make an excuse. It's the reality. Walk your ass in that courtroom and see what the reality is. When he say, did you do this? And I say, yeah, I did it. Then he say, oh, well, Mrs. So-and-so, did he do that? He confirming shit with her. So it's another part of it, bro. No, sir, I can't rock with that. Not at all.
The part with what again? What are you talking about?
Not you. I'm sorry. There was a person that just basically said, yeah, there was a person that basically said that you didn't hear the point that you didn't have your father because your daddy didn't care or he wasn't there for. No, that's bullshit. Some men like that. I think that's a minority in my personal opinion, because I'm in the trenches. Y'all know what's going on in the city of Memphis. Y'all know what's going on. Some of the worst of the worst men here, and they still stepping up and handling their business as best they can. They might not be high value men, but they handling their business. That's what you got me twisted.
Right. Like I know I've known situations with dudes. Like I was just talking to a girl not too long ago, and she was telling about her situation about how he
froze. Or he thinking real hard.
He thinking real hard. That's what I've been doing all night.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's just like when is the what's going on now? I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, you chopping up, my G.
Okay. Can you hear me now? No, but I always felt like, men are the catalyst, but I do feel like women shoot themselves in the foot all the time when it comes to these type of situations. I feel like it's both on both sides, you know. So there ain't no, like you were saying, blame game thing. I think it's a collective effort that needs to change on both sides of the fence, though, for sure.
I agree with you there, for sure.
But I'm never gonna back off what I said about men. Men are definitely the catalyst, and we not gonna move forward. And marriages ain't gonna get better until men understand our roles. And you can't just pass off this leadership thing whenever you feel like it. You know what I'm saying?
We have to be more accountable.
If you want to be a leader, we have to be more accountable. This leadership thing.
That's our job
at all times.
You can't just be a leader when it's convenient. Yeah, I got you.
Whenever you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like even with basketball, LeBron James can have a horrible game.
It's his fault.
Can have a horrible game, but you know it's not even LeBron James' fault. They're gonna fire the coach.
But it's still gonna be. But let's put it on. No, I ain't even gonna get into basketball. Let me let that go. But I get your point.
Even in war, like even in typical in war, like the lieutenants. If we lose in the war, they gonna get rid of the general. They're not gonna get rid of. They gonna get rid of the generals or whoever's in charge of. They run the captains. Ship. The captains they run the ship. So men need to accept that. We keep running. I know men run from that so much, and that's what you can't do that. You either accept that or give that to the woman. I don't know. It's just they got
we know as men when we have these conversations that women are not held to the same standard. We talk about this shit all the time, so we can't say that and then basically come back with, well, it's all her fault. You can't do that. I'm sorry. Like I had to accept the fact that I chose the wrong wife, bro. Like and I also wasn't ready to leave her. I gotta take that because she's not gonna take it for me. So what you gonna hold? What's gonna do? Float around in the air? You gotta take it, bro. That's a leader. That's what you do. So I agree with you there.
And I'm not saying women. I'm not saying women ain't screwed up because y'all definitely screwed up. But I do believe it's the result coming. Just the result of coming from men. Not just how I believe we the start of it.
I get you.
Well, for men are you.
Shit.
All right. You want to unmute? Who was it? Turf Teller?
You on mute, bro.
Truth Teller. Okay, got a little different.
Hey, sorry. Yeah.
How are you,
everybody? I'm good.
Good day. Someone said my connection needs a vaccine shot. I agree.
It's gonna stop working. Don't take it. Don't take it.
It's storming, and I did it. So y'all pray for my COVID internet, y'all. Just pray for it.
So I've been listening to the conversation, and that last conversation with you two folks.
My bad, bro. Go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good. The last conversation you guys were having, I found very interesting because you pointed out how leadership should work for men. And if you applied all of that same logic to women, everything that comes up when you try to hold a woman accountable wouldn't be acceptable. So then it comes to the question. They've been leading our community for the last 50 years. Why do we have to make excuses for why they've been leading it poorly? If men were leading the community and it resulted in what it is now, would we be making excuses for Black men on why it happened this way? I don't think we would.
No,
we wouldn't.
But women are not supposed to lead. That's why.
Oh no. Don't get me wrong. I agree with that 100%. Problem is they took the leadership role, and they don't want to give it up. So if that's the case, everything that comes with being a leader comes with being a leader. Our boys read at a 4th grade reading level. Women are not getting married. Hell, most women want to have kids before they get married. Somebody trained them to do that. Somebody trained them to do that, and it wasn't their fathers. Granted, a lot of people don't have their fathers around. Well, we have almost 60% of Black men not married and don't have kids. But yet we got all these kids. Who has the power to bring these kids into the world? We got to stop making these mistakes. And I get it. We do have history. There's certain forces that drove us in this direction. I completely get that. I know my history. I understand it. That's irrelevant at this point. In order to fix this, it's going to require the party that drove us into this to say, you know what, we need to take a step back and we need to go in another direction. And women are not doing that.
Like
you cannot be a leader without followers. Somebody has to play that role. And if you have people that just want to be leaders and not followers, community's not going anywhere. And I hear women.
I agree with the point.
Sorry, go ahead.
I agree with the point. I don't believe sisters just took that role, but what I will say is they ain't trying to relinquish it either.
They're not trying to give it up. I hold them accountable for that. I know the history, and they were forced into it. I get it, but
they
they're not
going
forced into it now. Yeah, they're not forced into it now.
They ain't trying to give it up now. Yeah, they ain't.
And they steady driving off the cliff. So I can't at this point say history is at fault, and we need to take that into consideration when we're talking about our ladies. I can't do it. It's too late for that. We've gotten past that point. Every discussion that has to do with how our community can get better, if it deflects into why we got this way, that is the wrong way to go. There's no reason. Sorry, let me not say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
To solve a problem, you don't talk about a problem you know already exists. You talk about the solution.
I don't know if I 100% agree. Because I think
understand. It's the emotional part of you. I get it.
I don't know.
What does a history have to do with fixing us now? How does it help us do that?
Well, we don't do a lot of research on our own. So whatever someone tells us, we seem to believe it.
No, I get it. So but how does it help us fix now?
Okay.
How does it contribute to the solution?
So when I go to the doctor and I get a physical, what my doctor asked me, well, let's look at your history. Let's see what happened. Did anybody in your family have cancer? Did anybody in your family have breast cancer? Because I need to know what I'm checking for now and to see, what might happen in the future. So let's not repeat what happened, but first let's get what happened straight. And I don't even think as a community, we've been able to get it completely straight where we've all been on one accord. This is why it happened. Okay, now we get it. So now moving forward, so we don't have it happen again. So you don't fix the illness by a Band-Aid and just covering it up. It's like, well, how did you get it?
Oh, no. So
you don't get lung cancer. You don't get lung cancer, or years of being sick and
I agree with your scenario. The problem is the actual real world example in your scenario would be every time you go back to the doctor, you re-talk about your history.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of what the steps are to fix it. It's cool to have that conversation once or, have a reference to it. But every time we try to talk about the answer, you can't keep bringing up the history. We know what the cause is.
What do you believe the answer is?
The first, honestly, I think the first answer is women need to know how to play on a team. First and foremost, your marriage is not for your happiness. It's not even for your own benefit. It's for the benefit of your family.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe women won't? Because I'm gonna say this.
I don't. I don't believe they see the welfare of their children comes third in a woman's mind. It's first themselves, and maybe their boyfriend, possibly and then their jobs. Actually, the child comes fourth.
What percentage of women you think like this?
A high amount.
Give it a percent. What's high? Because I can be 51.
I would say around 60 to 70%. If you ask, so let me give you an example. If you ask any woman about what she's doing with her kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many of them knows their teacher on a first name basis?
Okay.
How many people have the? Well, I'm sorry. There was a few more things, but go ahead.
That's almost too anecdotal. Like,
what do you mean anecdotal?
Like,
everybody's kids go to school.
No, I'm saying, bro, just calm down. Take the bass out your voice.
Oh, my bass is not. I'm not.
I'm saying.
at all, sir.
I'm saying this, bro. Like, what statistic can we look at for a woman to be like, well, how many women talk to their children's parent? I mean, the parents' children. Whatever you meant to say. I forgot. I messed it up. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I get you.
4th grade reading level for boys. That's a good statistic.
Okay.
There we go. That's one.
Well,
you think that contributes to what you said, though?
Well, it contributes to how. Well, no, I think that's an example of what they think is important.
Okay.
And what they don't think is important.
I don't agree, but I see your perspective. I see your perspective, but I don't agree.
Yeah, I get you. Because I wasn't raised in a single family. I see those women
you talk about. I see those women you talk about, though.
I see them quite a bit as well.
One. They'll see they'll be the same one coming to school and act a fool and be like, "You acting a fool," but who he learning from? So, like, I get that. I do see what? It's too many of that. It's too many.
I'm not even talking about those. I'm talking about the ones you don't see.
Nah, the ones that you see a lot as well just come up there just because they embarrassed.
No. That's true. But I'm talking about the ones you don't see at the school functions. The kids that come and their parents don't show up to stuff. They teachers are setting up parent-teacher conferences and nobody show. Hey, we've been sending you guys notifications. Your kid is failing this class. Nobody pays attention. I think there was that woman about a year or two ago in Philly. I think it was Philly, where her son actually had like a 0.6 something GPA, and they wouldn't let him graduate from high school, and she was suddenly surprised. How in God's name can he go to high school for 4 years and she don't know what his grades are?
Is that normal? That's not normal, though. That's why it made the headline. That was very like, what in the world?
Well, what I'm saying is there's an example of, and this is a Black community to a parent being attached from what's important for their kids. It's in a whole bunch of stuff. It's in what they eat, they exercise, you sit in front of the TV, do you make them read a book? Do you take them to the library? 3 books. So, there's a bunch of community and really we're focused on family. There's a lot of little things that can be done. Not many, but little things that can be done to help improve the family. We're focused on our job and what makes us happy. I'm feeling depressed and I don't like this and the father is trash and this and that and the third. Now, I agree with what you guys were talking about earlier. You choose who you choose. I get it. There's a lot of women in situations where the man is not there. And in some cases, a lot of them say,
women got to be better, bro. I do believe that too. I do believe our women have to be better.
But I'm saying that's what the major problem in the community is right now. So I get it. And you guys were just talking about holding men accountable. I don't disagree.
Like,
I don't disagree at all.
I'm not saying you do, bro. I'm not saying you do. Because my position is that men need to step up. I get all it. Like I know that. But I do believe one of our biggest problem is the culture that, not even the culture, but what's being pushed by Black women and it being made an image for Black women. I think that is the biggest issue. I do. I didn't agree with the last caller when he said that basically it's on the men more than anything. I don't agree with that. I take that position for myself. You feel me? Because I can only control me.
I hear you. I agree. Leaders are built. They're not born.
Right.
So
you're not born
But what I'm saying is they're not born. And
well, I guess he knocked off.
Up, bro.
Yeah, he's back. Truth Teller, can you hear us?
Laws that hold us accountable. There's community rules that hold us accountable. Even when men are trash, they literally get called trash in public. They get belittled. They get embarrassed by men and women. You don't see that with women. I see our sisters walking around in airports with bonnets on and slippers, looking like trash, I'm afraid to say.
Well, like I said, we just
heavy women walking around in skimpy outfits. They look like trash. They look like they go into a club and they, in the supermarket or at the airport. What's going on?
Yeah. So we have a lot of work to do.
What I'm saying is, I get we have a lot of work to do, but saying that it's done. It has to start happening.
I totally agree.
And I know
so that's doing the work.
who's doing the work?
Yeah.
I don't see anybody doing the work. That's what I'm saying. It's not happening.
Hey, if you don't mind me asking, are you black, bro?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You are?
Born and raised, Queens, New York.
Just asking.
Yeah.
Just asking.
Jamaica, Queens, as a matter of fact. I was born and raised in the hood. Yeah. I know what it looked like very well. Got out of it, yeah. No, I got out of the hood. I'm doing very well for myself. You know, the whole high value nonsense. I've been married for 20 years. I got 3 kids.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I appreciate your
call. I know what all this looks like. But cool. But thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a great night. Appreciate it. I'll keep listening.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Which I understand what he says, but I'm in the PTA with my daughter. But my friends and that has kids and family, my brother, they are too. So
yeah, my ex-wife is as well. So
yeah. And then I get the bonnets and stuff. Yeah, we have a hood ghetto mentality. A lot of us do with the bonnets and the the lashes. But then our men with the sagging of the pants, and I got to see your draws, in the mall when you walk in, and I'm seeing your butt crack when you bending over tying your shoes.
Yeah.
It's.
I agree. No, because we talked about that on our podcast, man. We talked about that, like. What we do matters as well, and we're viewed a certain way because of what the dumbest of us do.
The dumbest of us, men and women, we do dumb, and then that's what gets, that's what's shown on TV and on Instagram and Facebook. Yep. But the regular woman taking her child to school and in the PTA, and you see her, I'm trying to become the president. Women like me, I guess that don't exist. So, all right, we got Jay. You here?
J.I.
Sir, you ain't cammed up.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, J.I.
No.
You can't hear me?
Going once, going twice.
Hold on. You can't hear me?
Oh, hey, okay, there you go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's J.I. Thanks for having me up. As a former teacher, the truth teller, he was right. That's why I had to leave teaching. It is abysmal. But y'all already touched on that. So going forward, the solution, everybody's been asking for a solution, is really simple. All we have to do is give men and women true equality under the law. For example, but there's a lot of pushback to that. For example, would y'all agree that men should have financial abortion rights?
Morally, no, but logically, yes.
Okay, thank you. So if it was on the ballot, you wouldn't vote against it, right, CJ? Even if you wouldn't use it, you wouldn't vote against it, right?
Right.
Okay. Would you agree with that as well, Courtney?
Can you repeat that again?
Should men have a woman can have an abortion if she doesn't want a child? Can a man have a financial equivalent if he gets a woman pregnant, he doesn't want to be a father? Financial abortion, no child support, no responsibility, period. But they both had a choice. Do you agree with that?
Well, I don't. But I don't
legally,
agree with
from a legal standpoint.
I don't agree. I don't agree with abortion. So I'm pro-life. I think abortion is murder.
Okay, so you would vote against abortion.
We probably need to be careful with that A word too.
Oh yeah, that's right. That shit.
Okay, my bad. You would vote against that.
Can we talk? Let's do something else. That's a strike. Yeah. Can you make another?
But okay, yeah. So without saying the word, you would vote against it.
I vote against. Yes, I would.
Okay. So you would strip women of the right. At least you're fair in that way. But CJ, at least what you understand is, even if you morally wouldn't do it yourself, you understand that legally it should be allowed to make it fair. See, all we have to do is make the law truly fair and remove government assistance, welfare, things like that, and then let people really be free. That's all we have to do.
Not gonna happen.
Because what happens right now is
boom.
Right, it is. But if we remove that, agreed. But if we remove that, that's what's going to fix the issue. So men are going to have to vote and get on that type of agenda to fix it. Because once these issues weren't always issues, people used to be able to be married. Well, with all this free choice, people have not been allowed to feel the full weight of their decisions. So if you want to go and have children as a woman with no husband, I believe you should be free to do that, but I also believe that if you don't have any support, you should starve in the streets with your kids. That should be the consequence. But see, that doesn't follow. They get Section 8, they get WIC, they get food stamps. And what this does is undermines the family unit. And when you have the government undermining a family unit, I'm sorry, go ahead, CJ.
I agree with what you're saying in a utopia, right? Like, because I believe what you're saying is actually right, because the issue that I do have, which is why I said I can look at women and be like, y'all are a huge problem in what we're trying to do with family. I say that only because what you just said, it does not hold you accountable in that sense. That's why I said you can say black men are held accountable. I believe we are held more accountable than anybody else, because we go in that courtroom, we're definitely held accountable. When we divorce, even if we were not the one that did wrong in the divorce, we can be railroaded. So I agree with your point. The only thing is that's not going to happen, because that is a business, and this business is booming, my G. It works. It's not going to happen.
But let me say this to that. Slavery was a business and it was booming.
Right.
Things change. And in order for things to change, enough people have to stand up to make it change. Women, once upon a time, there was no divorce. You got who you got, and that was it. And if you lost your husband, you might not make it through the winter. For real, you might die. That's how it used to be, but it's not like that anymore. So we can't say this, oh, the business is boom. I understand that, but it can change. But enough men have to have that mindset to remove what has replaced the family unit.
Have you signed because I've been online, I've signed petitions in Tennessee for fair custody laws, fair choice. Like I'm in this space you're talking about. I just don't see it happening. I'm not gonna stop fighting it. I've lost faith in that system, bro, because it's not for me.
And I understand why. And I have a financial, petition myself, and I champion that. And I try, but oddly enough, it's a lot of men that push back against that for reasons that you said. A lot of men don't believe that it can change. It's almost like what Harriet Tubman said when she said, I could have freed a lot more people if they knew they were slaves. See, once we've been indoctrinated into this system, so it's hard for people to see anything other than this system. It's difficult.
I think I get it, bro. Because like what you're saying makes so much. This is why I believe in logic. I believe logic is necessary, but I do believe logic can be flawed. I believe logic can be manipulated. And the reason I'm saying I agree with what you're saying, because it makes sense logically. But I could not support fathers being able to financially walk away, because I don't support the latter. I don't support women having the A word. I just don't. So it's like me morally as a person, I cannot do that. Like, even though what you're saying is right, I can't give a father a pass to do that. I just can't. That's just me.
And that's the issue, because what we have to understand is legal and illegal has nothing to do with right and wrong. You as a father who's fought in the courtroom, you understand that better than most, CJ. You know that what's legal and what's illegal has nothing to do with what's right and wrong, because your 60 days, that's abominable. For a father to only have 60 days with their child, that's an abomination. But the courts will tell you that that's what's legally going to happen. So we have to step out of this, what's right and wrong. What I'm talking about would bring balance without taking away a woman's rights as well, because I believe that you should have the right to do it. I'm not one of the take away the women's rights people. I'm not, because there's other ways to do it. I'm not on that side. I'm on the just make it fair side. And to make it fair, we would have to legally implement this. I know you get what I'm saying, CJ, but the men that push back against this because they're, I don't know how that can happen. That is what's going to be our biggest issue and our biggest hurdle in making it fair. And if we made it truly fair, if you said, hey, if you knew the laws were like, hey, if I get married again and we get divorced and it's automatically no child support, 50-50 custody, you wouldn't feel as bad about getting married again, CJ. But you have to go into it knowing that you're basically playing Russian roulette. And I hate this, you got to choose better, because CJ, let me tell you, when men lived in huts, it was men and women married and they stayed married for a lifetime, didn't have anything but the dirt under their feet. It's not about the woman you choose. It's about the system that's in place that will back her while simultaneously destroying you, which is only going to cause a rift between your personal relationship. So it's not about picking the right woman.
Because what I was saying was, it's not like what she did. I won't call her what I felt she was, what she did. All I was saying was that I had to look at what I did wrong because that's all I could do. Like I said, I've been in these courtrooms, I've signed these petitions, I've tried to gather fathers, and you're right, not too many fathers even they complain about it, but they really don't want to do nothing about it. So I agree with what you're saying, but the only reason I said what I said that you quoted was because I understood that I had to do so. I had to be different, and I recognized some stuff that came up again in that courtroom. That's why I said that.
I got you. And the ultimate thing is it's not about picking the right woman. It's about the system that incentivizes this behavior. And until that system changes, when a woman knows that she can, why do so many women feel emboldened to have children outside of marriage to where that's just the norm? That they understand that there's not a real consequence that comes with it. And like the truth teller said, if you cared about your children, you wouldn't do that. But they understand there's a system in place. If there was no safety net like that, it was true equality. And we can get there because we can get anywhere. But men are going to have to step up and make this a true political movement and get behind it. And a lot of men are demoralized, like how you said, CJ, because men aren't even taught to think like this. We're taught to just bear the burden and quote unquote man up, which is wrong in and of itself. So that's why I'm glad there's men like you in this space that even if you don't personally agree, you wouldn't vote against what I'm saying.
No,
so you wouldn't stand against men's rights. So you understand it. And Courtney, I know you said you wouldn't vote for it. So that's cool. But I'm gonna let y'all get on. That's what I had to say. Appreciate it. Good talk, y'all.
For sure. Take it easy, bro. Shit. He had some points though. Like for real. He had some points that I understand it from a logical perspective. And I don't know. I could get behind it to a degree, but I don't know. That's just I would be conflicted with my moral obligation.
Yeah. Me too. Hey, security boss. Good to see you again. It's been a minute.
Hello. How are you all?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm definitely listening and taking notes on this conversation this evening because it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
And we're making it so difficult. And I'm not saying that it's hard, but the first thing, Courtney, is you're getting pushed back on the history thing because even with history, there should have been more accountability to what took place. Yes, right. The federal government put the drugs, the crack into our communities, but we opted to take the drugs and to sell them. It took our men out of the homes for men and women out of the homes for 20 plus years. But guess what? We passed that now. So now we're at a place where accountability is a must. And that's just where we are. So that's why people don't, well, this is what I think. That's why they don't want to go back to that because we're past it now. And we have to be accountable because you don't have to sell drugs. You don't have to use drugs. That is a conscious decision that is made by an individual to do that. So that's why you're getting your pushback. But
let me ask you a question because we're over that era. But do you not think that there's still ramifications of what happened then, what we're doing now?
Well, again, despite the ramifications, I'm all about accountability, so it doesn't matter to me. And then to go back a little further, in the 60s and 70s, Black men, women, marriage, that we were winning. So in the South, being married, we're winning. I have examples all around me of my dad and my mom still married, men everywhere. So when you're speaking to a large group of people like this, when you have people from the North and the South, they don't get that because I didn't grow up that way at all. So it's hard for me to say, okay, that's an excuse. I got to accept that because that wasn't my life. It's so many people that I know that did exactly what I did and lived in a house with a mother and a father, and they're still married today, living in a house together. But I agree. Yeah. So, and CJ, I think you're outstanding. I am so glad that you've come to this point in your life. You definitely are ready for a wife. But I do want to say to you,
I don't know about that.
I think you are because you know now that there's not much you can control in that situation. And you know what? I hope you know what I mean by that.
I got you.
The major point that I think that we're missing is not every male or man knows how to actually be a leader. And that's where we're lacking. Now, we get all these different definitions for a man, his masculinity and all of that. And for me, that doesn't totally work for me. My husband as a leader is humble enough to know where he's weak. Does that make sense? He's humble enough to know where he needs me to help him.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like
what
that.
you just said.
I like
what you
that.
just said. That's my whole position. It's like I understand
but that's
what a woman
but that
brings.
is a true, that's a true leader though. He
Mm-hmm.
understands that, oh, my wife is better with finances than I am. I'm making the money, but I'm gonna let her put it in the right places as far as the way it's being spent is paying bills. Y'all know what I mean.
You can't play quarterback being 300 pounds, man. You got your job. You got to go block. I need a guy that's gonna throw the ball back here. You got your position. I agree, 100%.
But listen, that calls for humility. And when you're talking about masculine linity and head of household and leadership, I hear no humbleness in that. I mean, I even hear stuff like, you do what I say, you get on my program. What? That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's not. Well, let me say it differently. That doesn't work. Because I too have a purpose as his helpmate. And I have to be in that purpose, and only him as my leader can bring me to that. Yeah. And, not everybody is socially mature from the beginning. You have to grow and learn what you actually know and don't know. And that's where our upbringing comes into play. Like, did I get beat as a child? Was I molested as a child? Did this happen to me as a child? All those things could have happened as children, but if God gives you a helpmate, that's who you work through those things with. That's the person you grow and become one with. Now, I know people don't like to become in one, but that's really how it plays itself out. And that's not one meaning we look alike, we talk alike. It's I'm the one that he can trust. That's how it has to be resurrected. Now, when you say stuff like a woman doesn't know how to be a wife, I don't know if women in the past, because my mother did not sit down and have a conversation with me about being a wife. That never happened. But I saw her and I saw everything that she did. And she was a wife. She is still a wife. No matter what my dad did. Now, I'm not going to tell their story, but it is not a pleasant one all the time. But no matter what, she was a wife. Yeah. She didn't even learn how to drive a car to the age of 40.
Sounds like my grandma.
Yeah, so she was a wife. Now, I watched her. I had
had it made.
But there was never any conversations though where we sat down and say, now when you grow up, when you finding your husband, you got to do this and you got to do that. It's not that way. So I don't think that's real. I think when you make those vows on those principles, and when I say principles, I'm talking about godly principles. Right. I really don't see how it can work without those type of principles, whether you're doing it in God's name, Buddha name, whoever. You got to have principles that you make your covenant to. You got to have something that keeps you together outside of him and you, because we're not strong enough for that, because we flake out. We get selfish. We get in our way. I
think a lot of people forget that God said man is not supposed to be alone. We forget that part.
I do think we forget a lot, and it's okay. It's okay to forget. But if you're going into into marriage though, that's a serious thing.
That's why I wasn't ready the first time. I was not ready.
Well, but guess what though? Even in you not being ready, it's okay, because now you know, and now you know what to do. But I still, that woman, whoever she is, you still got to work with her. You still got to be married to her. It's not going to be a perfect situation. So all the things you think you know, you may not know. You might have to reapply and go back and read the books and figure out what to do. But whatever it is, you got to stay on your purpose as a leader. And I just think that women with a true leader, it's just not that difficult.
Yeah.
But it just takes a lot of humility to get there. And I don't think sometimes that men are willing to do that because they're taught incorrectly on what a man should actually look like.
I agree with that to a point. I just agree with that to a certain extent because a man can be a great leader in his, well, I guess in his own opinion, right? But a man can be a great leader and choose the person a woman that's just not ready to follow, like doesn't know how to follow. And I don't mean that in a lesser position. I just mean some women just feel that in our community that the way to go is to be combative. It's like, I just can't let him do what he wants when that's not what it is. I've run into that in my life. Now, to me, it's not abundant because certain stuff I just don't tolerate. Like, if you with the beers, you're gonna have to roll with certain stuff. But sometimes we get in a position where I don't know, man, we can't even get through to some of our women.
I agree with you, but I agree with that. But that's still up to you, the leader, the minister, the man who's humble, the man who is submissive to what his role is to turn that situation around. It's just going to require you throwing up your hands and saying, I'm done with it, meaning the things that I'm doing are not working. I'm turning this situation over to someone else. But that doesn't require you can't walk out. You can't walk away. I think that's the problem. I think all of what you're talking about is a fear of that man walking away. Because all through, like Courtney said, all through the 80s, women had to adjust to not having those men there. They have to do what they have to adjust. They have to be the man, the breadwinner. They have to do all that. They have to raise the kids. They had to adjust. Now that they're adjusted, and if the men are still talking the same way, there's no trust because the words that are coming out your mouth still saying the same thing. Or if we're still dabbling, with questionable habits, oh, he might be selling drugs again, or, oh, he don't really want to work, or whatever the situation was, whatever that is that brings them back to whatever their mother experienced could be what they're actually experiencing now. So you have to be steadfast and say, listen, I chose you. Remember what I said, we don't all socially have it together or mature enough to handle what is given to us walking in the door all the time. If she doesn't know what it looks like to have a man present, accounted for, in charge, willing to accept the blows, then how would she know what to look for? How would she know that this is okay and safe? That's something you have to instill in her. You have to play that out on a daily basis. I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm here. I'm not going to run away from you. I'm going to stay here with you. We're going to walk it out together. You have to that's just what's required because I'm going to tell you, women are fearful that the men are going to walk away. They're going to walk away. They're going because it's happening. Okay, listen, I want to say this, y'all, before I forget. Going back to the last caller, I think it was J.I. or something of that nature. His idea was, out there a little bit because it really just takes some self-control or some self-discipline to take care of that problem. But on top of that, there's one man that was on the show. I think it was Ayana. Jay was his name. He had 36 babies by 15 women. Now, I don't know what kind of job or career Jay could have to take care of 36 kids, but more than likely it didn't exist. So, and these women were still not ready to walk away from Jay.
So you think, let me ask you this. Do you believe you believe basically that women will follow leaders, like no matter the situation?
Absolutely. Totally. But the leader has to be willing to say, this is it. This is the one. Because I think sometimes marriage is what you make it. It's not a given. It's what you make it. When it gets harder, you apply more pressure. When the pressure's applied more, you fall back. When you don't have the answers, you allow the universe and the energy to take over and allow God to fix the problem. But you got to have a principle that you're working on. You can't just, because if not, you'll get on YouTube and everything somebody says on YouTube, you'll take it and bring it into your household. And you'll be like, oh yeah, that'll work. Oh, with the red pill, the manosphere. And sometimes it's almost hateful. I hear the hate coming from the men and coming from the women. It's almost hate. you know, these women such and such and such. You know, I'm like, wow, what kind of women are we dealing with? Now, listen, on top of that, we really need to figure out who we're actually talking to also, because Big Mama and Leroy have been living where they living for all those years, and they've been fine. She been running him. He's a simp, and they just love each other. She lets him get drunk on Friday, and it's just fine. And then you have that other set of women who think that are having these babies, and they're manipulating the government, think they're manipulating the government, but it's going to turn around on them, and they're going to have some decisions to make also. They're not interested in being married. They just want that man in their house, in their apartment that they don't pay for, selling drugs. There's no need to talk about them being married. You're talking to women, career women, or women who had to make those adjustments, and then men who are career men who are smart enough to say they want to be a part of a family. That's who you need to speak to. It's not everybody, because
you're right. And then
some people love their life. They love that simp life. They love that. So
right. And so this is, you know, for people that are wanting marriage.
My daughter calling me.
Go ahead. That are wanting, you know, to get marriage back on track on how it was. These are the conversations that I'm trying to talk to, because that's what I totally believe in. Now, if you don't, and of course, there's a lot of people, of course, in the comments that don't believe it, and that's fine, but that's not who I'm trying to reach. So,
right.
Anyways, let me get some more callers. I appreciate you.
Right. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Sure. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree.
And that's all right. That's all right. All right. Pooh Stewart, how are you? Good to see you again, too.
Hey, what's going on? How's it going, folks?
Good. What you got? Right? You're married, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I remember that.
So, any other way?
Because you've been married for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't start out married. I started out pretty much. My mother was single after I turned about 12. So in the beginning, it was hard for me to get married because I just didn't trust women, period. Mm-hmm. And the reason why I didn't is because I think I saw too much from, you know, being around the women all the time, and then you see certain things, and I was terrified. And just like the brother on the chat, I mean, when I started out, I was young. I had an alcohol problem, which I dealt with about 15, 16 years ago. Mm-hmm. But I was still a baby, making babies. Mm-hmm. And whenever I did that, it seemed that the person who was held more accountable, even though I was a baby and she was a baby, they held me more accountable. They said, you're going to have to, she can just lay back and do whatever, but you're going to have to come up with X amount of dollars to deal with this, and this. And then I still ended up in the system at the beginning. And dealing with the system, I think we forget the fact that the system is the most of the problem, but somebody's going to have to realize that when we have children, we cannot keep subjecting our children or our families to the same system that brought us here and expect them to do anything different. Like if we're going to the same courts all the time, and it's saturated with some of the same people who would much rather see us divided than see us succeed. And then, you know, I heard you guys talk about the blame game, but if I say, well, who is going there more than us, then it would be the women. So
that's my point.
Even with the conversation that we having, you know, I heard what the gentlewoman just said, but you know, she said something about they think that the men will walk away. I don't agree with that, because if you look at the divorce rate, it's not the men that are filing most of the divorces, it's the women. So how could that be from a standpoint that most men will walk away. So in other words, we kind of feel like we can man up, we can take care of our kids, we can do everything right. I'm just going to be honest with you. We do not trust women who really want to deal with the system. Most guys won't tell you that. But we feel like you taking me to the quarters to get sold off, and you taking my kids to sell them off and see what type of profit you can get from it.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, brother, but
yes, sir.
See, a lot of these women in this conversation right now, what y'all are missing is, let's take the deadbeat out of it, okay? Let's just look at the father that really wants to be there. I get the same treatment as the deadbeat in that courtroom.
You and me, yeah.
And then I have to deal with, like, bro, that hurt, bro. You feel me? Like, that hurt for my baby mama to do that to me, my ex-wife to do that to me. It hurt, bro, because I do everything I can, and she's in a position to say, that's not enough, so I need more. And I can go to this system that can force my hand. That's just the reality. Well, but to a degree, yeah. But I got joint custody now, but when
I got full custody of my son, and she had full custody of the daughter. So
she wasn't a bad mother to me. That's why I wasn't interested in full custody, because she wasn't a bad mother. What she was doing with me was wrong, but she wasn't a bad mother. So I wasn't interested in doing that. I just wanted a fair shake. That's it.
Yeah, but I had a different situation. I mean, it was the opposite of what you're talking about. And I mean, I still had to deal with, even though I know what she was doing, you know, as far as the children was concerned, was wrong, I still had to fight and spend their money to make sure that they were going to be okay. So at the end of the day, when you look at it, you say, well, if I got to go to the system and I'm kicking out money that I could be saving for the children, and then having to pay support on top of that, what are we doing? Like, what are we really doing? And it makes no sense to go in court, do like we done, do everything right, and still get raked over the coals just because you're willing to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And I, you know, like I said, I see a lot of men going through it. And we just have to get our women to believe that that's not the way to go. Like, you dealing with the same people who want to see us divided. You think we're going to have a different result or a better result. It's not going to happen. And then we're scared because we sometimes believe that's what you all want to happen as women. Like, they don't care if we have a family. They don't care if we're going to be there for our children. We feel that way because when we look at the results, what do they say?
Yeah. Child support doesn't have you have to be with your children law. You got to pay for them. That's the law. That's
crazy, because they I always tell my children, I say, you came out of me first into your mom. So let's just don't discount the fact that you did come out of my body. And then when we talk about the, you know, I mean, and I looked at the fact that I have a daughter, my oldest daughter, I have a baby girl who was raised by her mother. And then I raised the son and my oldest daughter. And I look at the thought processes and where my baby girl is going versus the two that I raised with my wife. It is a horrible, horrible difference.
Yeah.
In where she's going, because she didn't have that type of balance, versus where the other two are going. And then they still have so much like hatred instilled in them, because I think that's part of the program to be able to keep the children away. So you grow up with hatred that you don't need.
All right. Well, I'm going to get to some more callers because they're backed up. So, and
okay. All right. Well, great talking to y'all.
You too. It's good to see you again. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be keeping up. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, my guy.
All right. We're going to start to keep it a little brief, and let's talk about solutions. How about that? So, was it Sayla?
Hello.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you very well.
I ran across
So
from
you talking about
Oh, you guys broke up on me. Can you guys still hear me? I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Okay. That makes me feel a little bit better.
So what do you think?
I'm sorry, Courtney, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
Could you repeat?
What do you think is the solution?
I thought it was, my perspective is a little different. Thank you so much for taking me in, guys. I thought maybe it was because there was an abandonment of religion. That all of these values that people have in family, it all stem from religion. And now our society is extremely secular, radically secular, right? And so with that, there's all this breakdown of the family. And a lot of people have, have accepted secular beliefs in the school system, in the court system. The courts are very secular today. Family is not the main theme. It doesn't feel like it is. And I feel like when you abandon the value system that was in place, it just creates chaos. So that's the perspective I kind of see it from. I just see that a lot of people are very, I don't know, they're just very secular. I don't know if that's the right term, progressive, secular, just an abandonment of the culture, customs, traditions that, even the baby boomers had. The baby boomers had a different culture than the culture that we have. There was more church attendance, right? Even the Nation of Islam was very strong. And so now it feels like the media, the entertainment industry, the movie industry. I remember when that movie came out, Friends with Benefits, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and it revolutionized the way people saw relationships, where it was more of the hookup culture, right? Before that, it was still a taboo.
Netflix.
Yeah, the Netflix, exactly. So I feel like I'm an outsider, so I don't want to intrude too much, but I do feel like religion holds a community away from total destruction. It kind of is, not letting people fall off the cliff from a lot of the secular views. In my community, it's completely different, but we're starting to see the same outcome as the African American community. A lot of people have migrated to America, to Canada, to the UK from Somalia. There was a civil war. And so we have very, very strong family structures in Africa. But then what happened, it didn't happen so much in America, but it happened a lot in Canada and the UK, where there's such generous welfare states, which is foreign in Africa. There is no concept of welfare. A family has to stay together or they will fall into poverty. And a lot of Somalian men saw all of this welfare, child benefits, housing benefits, food benefits, free education, and they walked away from their children and their families at a certain point. Like, you'll be okay, the government will take care of you. And then what happened was that a lot of Somalian boys fell into drugs and crime. And and then what happened with that is that the Somalian girls moved on up through the education system. See, we don't have the same history. We didn't go through, Jim Crow or any other, harsh oppression that African American communities went through. But we still had the same family structure that was being destroyed. And then what happened, and you could see this, I commend you, Courtney, for opening up. It's really hard to open up to other cultures, and it's hard for other people to open up about their cultures. But everyone has a lot of issues in their cultures. Nobody really knows about us, because when we do talk about it on YouTube, we have our own, we're sort of isolated. Every community is somewhat isolated. So I understand you. What happened now is that a lot of Somalian girls are marrying outside. So they're either marrying African American men, white men, European, Asian. They're marrying out, and it's upsetting the Somalian guys. But there's a gap in the education between the two groups. And I remember watching a podcast of a group of Samoans, and the men were talking about how they had to marry abroad. They had to go back to Africa and marry young women there and bring them back. But they weren't really happy with that because there was a cultural divide.
Yeah.
And so, and all of this stemmed from, there's a lack of representation for young men in the home. So I see a lot of women in the media, feminism, they always talk about representation. Women need representation in media and CEOs. But at the end of the day, there's no representation for boys in the family, no fathers, no husbands for them to see, no male teachers. And all of that has an effect on them. And so, it's a big taboo to walk away from your family in Islam, to kind of have a divorce, a separation. But all of these Somalian fathers did that, and now we're dealing with the consequences. In some parts of Europe, it's 75%.
I think the issues that...
Sorry, go ahead.
My apologies. I was saying that I think a lot of our issues that we're having is seeping over into other cultures as well, especially when they come over here and, look how we're doing in the Western world. And
that's a good point you make, because there was a study that came out, Courtney. You hit the nail on it, that African immigrants do so very well, first generation, do extremely well. But then the second generation doesn't, because they pick up values that are not native to them. Yeah. And so you're right on that. And yeah. So I don't know. I see we're similar. We're going through similar things. There's a lot of differences between our communities, but I think the same thing is an attack from secular values, secular, influence that's just moving away from God and the family. So I just want to share that.
Thank you. I totally agree with you. So
I agree too. I definitely
so
agree
much.
with that.
Have a good day. Bye, guys.
All right. Yeah, they took God out the schools.
What you thinking, CJ?
Oh my boy.
What's going on, y'all?
What you got with it?
Man, can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Oh, come on. This is the other half.
Yes. Yes. So man, I wanted to come on and I ain't want to be long. You know what I'm saying? Like, what I'm noticing is a lot of long-winded, people wanting to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to speed it up. I got wings.
But you good. But what I wanted to say to your question, can black marriages be resurrected? I believe so, but I think what has to happen is it has to be more examples of men that's married stepping down and speaking on it, instead of it being a lot of single men that's never experienced it. And that's one of the things we say on the FYE100 Podcast all the time. Men got to step up to the forefront and be that,
lead.
And you got to be the leader. And like you say, I ain't gonna be long. My little boy going crazy downstairs. He ready to see dad, because I've been up here with y'all. But just back to the point, man. I honestly believe that black marriages can do it, but we gotta have more representation. We gotta have the guys like Pooh that's married, the Nigerian guy that's married, and instead of just speaking to the guys at the barbershop and speaking to the guys that we like, we gotta come on platforms like this and speak. We got to make room on TV and everywhere else to say our truths. And like I say, being married is a big responsibility, but if you stand on your morals and you stand on what a real man is, it'll work. You just got to understand that you have to stand first. If you ain't standing on nothing, it's going to be hard to have somebody to follow you. And when I say follow, I don't mean you second. If I'm 1A, you 1B, we right there. So that's the biggest thing I understood about marriage. And I seen my mother and father be married. They've been married long as I've been born. So that's all I ever seen. And that's why I like the fact of the dynamic that me and CJ got. We just look at we look at things similarly, but we came from two different areas. as far as the upbringing and stuff. So I just wanted to say, man, thank y'all so much. I'm proud of my boy CJ. Courtney, you always been a supporter of the FYE100 podcast, man. And this ain't the end of it. I definitely want to let men know that, look, bro, you ain't got no reason to be afraid of marriage, bro. At the end of the day, bro, if that's something you want, go at it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have your trolls in the comment section and stuff like that. But like Courtney said, you can't. People like that, they want to play. This they playground.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They ain't trying to be serious. Let them play. But the people that actually want solutions, that actually want honesty and answers, this the place to do. Lapeef, your Kevin Samuels, your places that you can actually learn something. So Courtney, I definitely want to give you a shout out. You brought it back to why the family broke up. And you talking about solutions now. I understand you do have to go back to come forward sometimes. But like you said, ultimately, the solutions outweigh. You got to be able to say, hey, what can we do to fix this? And right now, it ain't enough people talking about the solutions. So honestly, I believe the solution is more men got to stand on principles. And you got to understand.
My bad, but he acting like I don't agree. Like this,
I don't know what.
Like it's like, nah, bro, I do agree, but I do agree that also women have to be held accountable. That's
facts.
It's like it's a two-sided coin, but honestly, men got to step up and do it first. Right. I do agree with that.
Let's
if
not
you want her to follow
confused.
you, go ahead.
Yeah. I agree.
No, I was just gonna say let's not get it confused. Now, I'm not absolving women of their responsibilities at all. What I'm saying is, at the end of the day, I can't build a foundation if I don't understand how to build one. You know what I'm saying? We all can't stand on a shaky platform if I'm the one that's supposed to be building it. So that's where that comes from. I'm definitely not saying that women don't play a part in it, because they do. But what I'm saying is, it takes a man to build that foundation first. That's it. Me and my boy go back and forth on this stuff all the time. And if you tune into the FYE100 podcast, you will see that. I'm not saying that to plug. I'm just saying that to let you know that it's multiple platforms that you can get this information on. You just got to be willing to accept the information. And if you want to be a troll, that's cool. Do your thing. But if you want to learn, you can do that. So Courtney, once again, bro. Thank you. Yeah, learn.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on. CJ, you killed it, bro. I'm proud of you. Keep representing, the FYE100 podcast.
And this family, this is what it's about right here.
Yes,
family. If we got more of this, we'll be all right. But we got to stand on it, though.
That's it. You can't run from these hard battles, because if we do, we're going to have more of what's going on now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, my boy. All right, I'm gone. I'm finna slide. Yeah, I'm finna slide. That's it for me.
Yeah, I'm about done.
All right, Court.
Jesus. And I guess this is why you don't you gotta cam up. This is why you gotta cam up. Oh, Jesus Lord. Oh, Jesus. Let me pray right now. I gotta pray. Let me bring TJ. I gotta catch my breath.
I'm gone for real. Like I'm done. Like y'all have a good night. I gotta work in the morning.
Yeah, I'm about to end it. It's gonna be my last call.
All right.
All right. I'll call you later, CJ. Thank
Nothing
you.
but the devil.
The devil. We make it the devil. Hey, TJ.
Can you hear me?
Child. Yeah, I can hear you all right. I'm about to head on. You're gonna be my last call. I'm gonna have to head out.
That was disgusting on so many levels. Oh my God. Anyway. I literally screamed. I'm like loud. I'm like, oh my
God.
Jesus Christ. Heaven help us all. Okay, anyway, real quick. That just messed up my train of thought.
When I tell you my heart is just I just don't.
Oh my God.
And this is why people have to cam up.
Definitely, if you don't know them, I'm not cammed up because I have my pajamas. I don't have my
right.
I have my pajamas on, and I don't show my pajamas.
No.
Okay,
and that was
oh
go ahead, TJ.
Oh Lord, that's just yeah. Anyway, okay, so thank you for giving the historical context, and I think that it is important to give historical context as to how we got here. But to Security Boss's point, that was in the past as a foundation and it's a contributing factor. But what do we do now? Where I disagree with her at is that I think it's important to know that the residual effects of the historical times are people like me, are women like me who, and what I mean by that is I was having a conversation with Bolo the other night, and we were talking about what the concept of strength means.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was dating and I was young, going out and meeting guys, and I would ask them, I said, well, what are you looking for in a woman? And what do you want? And men would say, well, I'm looking for a woman that is strong, that can handle business. She's independent. She takes care of herself. She does this, that, and the other. So I thought that I was being that. But it wasn't until I got older. It wasn't until I got older that I realized what a woman thinks is strength and a man thinks strength are two different things. As a man, and especially if a man grew up in a 2-parent household and he saw his mother being strong, taking care of the family, taking care of the husband, making sure, the kids were taken care of, that is what that man thought strength was. But if someone grew up like me, in a single mother household, seeing a mother do everything, in a sense of, the leadership roles, making the money, doing, trying to carry the weight of the man and the woman, it sends a message that that's what I was supposed to do. So we're both saying we're saying strength, but it means two different things because we're coming from two different foundations. So I think where we begin with the solution is to really ask those questions. What are you looking for? Not only say, what are you looking for, but define that. Because it wasn't until I got older that I thought I was being exactly what a man wanted by being strong. But it wasn't until I got older that I understood what he saw as strength as something different. Like when my husband got sick, that was strength. Taking care of him, making sure that he had what he needed to get well, as well as taking care of the household. But I didn't know that then. So that's where we begin. And then if we understand that women like myself who had gotten it wrong and had to start unlearning some things, we can go to our men and we can be completely transparent and say, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be this. I want to be this for you, but I didn't learn it. Kind of like my daughter said that she didn't learn it from me, but she sought how to be a wife from other people by being around wives. So I think it gives the historical context is good as it gives us a foundation, but knowing that, and we women knowing ourselves, we have to come to the realization, okay, this is not what men want. That's not the kind of strength that they want, but ask them what they do want and listen to that. And I also agree with the young lady who called in, Selah, when she was talking about that, the secular, what we've come to. Absolutely right. Because when I interviewed my mom, she said everything that they did, it was centered around church and God.
Right.
Everything, even the social life was centered around church and God. When those things started to be taken out of schools, taken out of these institutions, that is when it played a contributing role to the breakdown of the family. So one of the solutions I think we can come to is having conversations like this, but also, like the gentleman said, have examples of what it looks like. Have examples of what it looks like, and maybe have these powwows of women who want to know how to be a wife and want to learn from someone who messed it up like myself at first, but also someone who got it right like my daughter. So that's how we do it. You learn from the people that are doing it if you want to be that. So I'm going to go. Thank you so much for having me in, and we'll talk to you later.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you, TJ.
You what, Mr. Steele? I was thinking about you. Hit me up on IG because I think I got something for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Take care.
You too.
Bye, TJ.
Bye.
Hey, I was about to cut everybody out, but I saw you and I wanted to take your call. I might take a couple, and then I got to go. It's night. I don't know.
I can't get over that, But anyway, I just want to go ahead and jump into the solution.
Oh, yes.
Solution. Okay. We cannot depend on anything outside of our community for solutions.
Mm-hmm.
We depended so much on the system for so many years. There are even some parts of the system that may seem beneficial to us on the surface, but they have their side effects. For example, I'm gonna give you a couple of examples.
Mm-hmm.
Women's rights. Now, I believe in women's rights. I'm with it, and the whole idea of women's right is for women to have a fair treatment. But it seems like there's some women who would use or sort of abuse those rights, causing them to have this "I don't need a man" mentality, or "I want to be the boss" mentality. That's one of the things that that can destroy the family structure for our community.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that it seems beneficial in a lot of ways, it is, but again, it has its side effects, and that is integration.
Mm-hmm.
Now, integration, it benefited me a lot, and it sort of benefited us a lot. And the ideal is to have the same access to the facilities that can make us stronger. But it seems its side effect is it also split us apart, really, because because of the way we look at them as the white supremacy thing and being superior, that we ended up breaking away from one another, which leads to this divestment. It led to divestment. Now, let me say this. I don't have a problem with dating outside my race, but it's the reason why they do it that kills us. I mean, if I doubted a non-Black woman, I'm not doing this to rule out the Black woman, because I know there are good Black women out there. Most of the content creators I listen to are Black women.
Mm-hmm.
But there are lots of people, lots of us, who want to divest just for the sake of getting away from each other, because Black men ain't doing this, or Black women are doing this. Okay, that's one of the things that's really destroying us. And feminism is also destroying us too. All these things we're talking about is the result of us depending on the system to solve our problems. And I'm sorry, we have went to the system for so many years, and almost none of our problems are solved. So what we need to do is to look to each other for the solutions. And having platforms like this is it is the greatest start to doing it.
Yeah. Well, Eugene, I agree, and I think that's my purpose of doing this platform is really, we say let's have the conversation, but besides just the conversation, I really do want solutions.
Oh yes.
I think that we are all are work in progress, and there's not going to be a time where anyone has arrived. We're always evolving, always getting better. And so this is a platform for that, for like-minded people, besides the disgusting trolls
Oh my God.
to get on here and to really try to work.
Right.
So, yeah. Contact Miss TJ, please, tomorrow morning.
How can I contact her? You know?
Do you follow her on IG or Facebook, or are you in a group?
No, but I do have an account, so I can try and find her.
Or if you can send it your.
Say again, you're breaking up.
Yeah, or you can send it to me in your email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you, I don't know if you do you do social media?
Well, like I say, really the only social media I do is YouTube, but I'm starting to get into Instagram. I'm sort of like a social media virgin, so to say.
A neophyte. That's okay. Gotta start somewhere.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, try to find us. Please. You know, we adore you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Eugene.
Bye-bye.
Oh, good evening. How you doing?
Hi. I'm hanging in there. How are you?
Hey, I'm fine. Excuse this light, man. I'm outside in the dark. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Okay.
But
what's going on? And I'm gonna take a couple more people, but I'm gonna try to make it quick.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna make it quick. I appreciate you for taking your time out. But what I think, can black marriages be resurrected? Of course we can. But what I think it is, and I gotta add to what the brother Eugene said. I think the reason why is because, like he said, we keep going outside our communities to learn how to deal with our own people in ways that really doesn't or not conducive to the way that we deal with each other. Instead of just saying, you know what, we know each other, we deal with each other, we interact with each other on a daily basis. So let me just talk to this person and deal with them on that basis instead of just using another race on how they deal with their marriages, on how we deal with our own people. And sometimes it kind of causes a culture clash. And I think also we got to start bringing back getting to know each other, establishing friendships, learning how to get to know each other, be on more one of accord with each other, learn how to like each other, but also learn how to be healthy with each other, whatever the case may be. Because now we make a relationship seem like it's a business aspect, which does has that element, but they focus too much on that and they don't focus on the other elements that can actually make the relationship or the marriage become good. So, you know, I know you got your boy Jay up next, so I'm gonna just keep it short to let him talk his points. But also, I think we also need to bring back them shows like Martin and Gina. They kind of promoted, you know, black love in its finest aspect, because a lot of these movies, they kind of make it seem like black love is supposed to be more like a struggle and more like a job and more like a prison, rather than it just being more two people liking each other because they generally like each other, but also be healthy for one another. And I just want to add that because I know my boy Jay, a story to tell, got something he need to say. I'm gonna let him go ahead and do his thing. Yeah, let him go ahead and tell his story. So yeah, y'all stay blessed on that.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
How you doing?
Hi Jay, how are you?
I'm doing well, and yourself? Yeah,
I'm doing well. What you got going on? What do you think about the topic, and do you have a solution?
So I think more discourse like this. I think multiple discourses like this, networks like yours, will assist in getting us to that direction. I think honestly it's gonna get worse before it gets better. And I think we're going to, like our generation, I'm not quite sure how old you are, but I think our generation is gonna witness the worst part of it. But then it's gonna get better because we're the ones leading it. You know, we understand that that's something that needs to be taken care of, that we're stronger together, and we have to find some common ground for the greater good. So it'll definitely get better, but we have probably like a 10-year generation of people that just were taught wrong and it hasn't hit them yet. You know what I mean?
So what does worse look like to you?
Worst look like, I mean, honestly, like my grandmom was alone and didn't want to be alone. You know what I'm saying? And I saw her bitterness, I saw her anger, you know, and she was one of a few, you know what I mean? In that era, it wasn't a lot of them. But I think now you're going to see an immense amount of older women in their 60s and their 70s that are alone, bitter, angry, and have regrets. So they're going to instill a different principle into those younger than them.
Yeah.
And let them realize, like, yo, you need somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a greater good that you need to work towards. So we're gonna see it's gonna be it's gonna be a lot of them, yo, going to the doctor's care, you know, alone.
Are you married?
I'm not married. I'm not married.
Are you wanting to be married?
Absolutely. Okay. I want to.
Well, see, you're helping in the solution.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree. That's part of it. You know, we definitely need to have more men that are willing, but you know, there needs to be a common ground. Because right now what we have is like a battle of the sexes. You have, you know, I'm sure you look down your Facebook timeline and you see women with a bunch of memes pretty much disrespecting men. You know what I mean? If he ain't got this, you know, don't ask me what I'm bringing to the table. And then you got a bunch of males with the opposite disrespect. You know what I mean? So it's straight up the battle of the sexes. You know, everybody is comparing plights when you can't do that. You know, if you tell a black man, or, you know, you'll hear black women say the black woman is the most unprotected species, you know what I mean? Like, that may be true, but you can't come to a black man and tell him that when he just saw his brother get killed in the street. You know what I'm saying? When you see, like, you can't expect to get anywhere if you're weaponizing a black woman being unprotected when there's so many of us black men. You know what I mean? So we got to find some common ground, yo.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Jay.
I appreciate y'all, yo. It was a good show, man.
Thank you. It's been a show.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean.
99%, except for that 1%.
You're right, exactly.
All right, thank you.
All right, y'all, no problem.
All right, Mr. Prenup.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry I was late. Just got off my second job. Really trying to get that house before mediation comes. So, yeah, loving the show. 99% of it actually, but 99% is good. So,
still A. I'll take that.
Still.
So, you know, well, I already know we had this conversation before. I know what you think.
Yeah.
And we are completely different.
And I don't even be that different.
Well, I'm not going to get into what we do on our page, the back and forth, because that'll be another hour. But what do you think would be the solution for people that are wanting to be married, but yet we're at a 30% rate right now? How can we get it up to 40%?
All right. Well, my solution is, because of my background and what I do for a living, is more financial. So basically, men are really afraid of not the marriage, but they're afraid of the divorce. So men do want a legacy. They do want to have a family, but they don't want the wife to leave no matter what. You took the vows, like, you shouldn't be incentivized to break up a family. So how can we build a community where you're incentivized to breaking a family? So if you come to a potential mate and you tell that man, like, hey, I'm marriage-minded, and he's marriage-minded, what kind of fears does he have for that? I bet you it's going to be divorce. I bet you it's like breaking up a family, taking the kids, taking half his stuff. So besides telling him, pretty things and everything, and doing things for about maybe 6 months, a year, whatever long it takes for him, he still may have that fear. Number one, it should really be taking the financial off of it. Like, don't come off so expensive. Don't want him saying, I need this type of house, I need you to make 6 figures and all that. If he does, that's good. If he doesn't, that still should be good too, as long as he has benefits and he's going for something. So don't try to come with him with a big ass bill. Nobody wants to pay a bill right after he just says hi. Like, it's gonna come. Bills will come and go, but don't like scare him with money and bills already, because we know families are expensive. So don't come off expensive. Men should have a foundation too. They should give a woman, this is what I want. This is what I want in the family. So just taking the fear from both of the sexes. And second, like, yeah, people are gonna say beautiful things and everything, but maybe you should put something in writing, like, a prenup. Just like, hey, maybe you should sign a prenup and take the fear off of it. If there is a no, that's fine. Maybe we can come to an agreement, put some clauses in it. If you don't want to do a prenup, then it's like, well, that's that fear. That's that you're going to probably be engaged for a long time, or maybe never engaged because of that fear is there. So those two things. Don't come up expensive and put it in writing.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prenup.
See that? Solutions. See? Solutions. We'll talk more, of course.
Well, I appreciate you, of course. Can you hear me?
Have a good night.
All right. Thank you. See you in the chat. Bye.
Well, thanks. Bye.
Okay. If you're not on Opinionated Reality, you were online. Are you popping up?
Can you see me?
No. And if I can't, I'm gonna have to keep. Yeah, I can't have another situation.
Oh, let me
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. I need a solution.
A solution. One of the things I'm hearing from a lot of the guys in this live stream is pointing the finger at everything else that system women. And I'm younger than a lot of these guys, but I'm toward these dudes to be accountable, be leaders, for the community,
okay,
for their families. Because a lot of guys are just, it's the system, sign a contract, do this and do that. But a lot of these guys are cowards. They're not willing to really put in the work. They're lazy. They're unaccountable. And you have to be the leader and make the change that you want to see for marriage going forward. Because for me, I'm married, and I've been wasting my time trying to fix my wife, trying to make her follow me and all this. I just picked the right woman who fit into what I want to do in my life. So that's one of the things a lot of guys got to do. Stop having kids with these hood buggers and blaming the women and feeling all down instead of man up, do what you got to do, and then you'll reap those benefits, and then that's how we'll change community by community for real.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your opinionated.
Yeah, thank you.
Call me ended for tonight.
Courtney.
Hey, what is going on?
It's been a while. Let me conclude my point I was trying to make yesterday, but I was kind of long-winded. It kind of goes back to an opinion I had or a point that I made on your show a while ago, and that is, what are you willing to sacrifice? That I mean, when you break it down to the most cellular level, in my opinion, that's where the conversation actually starts. Now, from a male perspective, from a man's perspective, we have to renew our mind, just like the scripture says. We have to actually do the work and renew our mindset. We take back those images that's out there that we can control. We can control the images that we put out there on what masculinity looks like, what a man looks like, what a father looks like, because we do govern the prospects, for a man, a father, and what a husband looks like for our kids. So we do have control over that. So in reference to your initial question, I do believe that Black marriages or Black families can be resurrected, but we have to be willing to do the work and sacrifice. I mean, as a believer, again, that's pretty much the center or the nucleus or the primary reason why he came in the first place. He sacrificed. So we got to be willing to do that. A lot of times we're not willing to sacrifice. And another point is that we want a savior, but we don't want a king, right? We want God to save us. We want to be saved, but we don't want structure. We have to give up something to have that structure. We have to have accountability and responsibility. And people don't want that. But that's what's needed. I've been fortunate enough in my life to be blessed to be able to see leadership when it came in front of me. Because again, when a student is ready, the teacher will appear. I was fortunate enough to see that in the military, in my own personal life, and just in my everyday life. See a leader and see things for really what it was, and really take it in and do some introspection, with my own life, and do that sacrificing that was needed. So again, on a most cellular level, when we get down to really sacrificing, not offering, giving up something that we may have to live without. We don't want to do that. We have to do that. So I appreciate your show. I appreciate you. And I think what happened was you actually being on the right track, and the devil tried to intercede and he couldn't do it. That's what I think what happened. So y'all take it easy and be blessed.
Thank you. Hi, Courtney. Hello? Oh, man, it froze. I'm going to leave and then come back out.
Yeah, that's all me. I'm going to invite her back. This is the last call. Then I'm going to go in my bed and go to sleep. I'm going to eat a box of M&Ms. And that's going to be it for the evening.
Hey, Court, can I just get a word in before you go ahead?
Come on, baby. It's been a goofy night tonight, boy.
It's okay. I'm so nervous. This is my first time joining a StreamYard, so
look, you cannot possibly mess up anything this evening, okay? So you go ahead, you tell me what you got to say about this.
All right. So I'm gonna just be brief. This is kind of like what I've been thinking lately, watching a lot of these shows on YouTube about a solution. A solution is that we just have to understand that, like, we have to move with. I understand this word of modern women and traditional women, but if you look at anything in life, we all have come to modern terms in every way with technology. The inflation on like food and supply, everything has gone up. Everything has surpassed what it used to be. So with people, we have to understand that we have to evolve. We have to learn. Some of the things that we go through is through childhood. And as adults, we just have to take accountability on ourselves to learn. And if you want to learn, you can learn. If you don't, you don't. And that's either by going to therapy, looking at these podcasts, distinguishing what's good information and what's bad information for you. And then and when you distinguish that, then you could put pieces together from different people. And then you could be like, you know what, this fits for me. And make sure it's equal and fair to the other person as well. Like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone and I feel like, damn, like, I can't have no say. Like, I'm supposed to just be like, okay, I don't mind being that woman. But like a lot of men said up here, you have to be the leader. I don't mind following a man, but I just want to make sure I'm following a good leader. Like, you know, and another part of it is God. God creates beautiful unions. Amongst ourselves, with our families, with our friends. So it's just got to keep ourselves and know who we are as people. And, you know, may the best be the best for you and whoever your mate may be. And you just got to keep going with it. There's going to be women out here that's not going to be free for certain men. And it's going to be men out here that's not for certain women. And that's okay. And that's okay. Like, it's just not your turn yet. So you just be the best you could be in this moment. So when you do meet that person, you could say, you know what? I worked on myself enough to know that I got the person I needed. And that's my solution. I'm not married or anything, so it's like I am not trying to give advice to other people, and I'm still single. It don't make sense to me, but it's just what I'm learning in this journey. So,
do you want to be married?
Yeah. And I don't say that, oh, I want to be married because of the wedding and, just, because my husband. No, it's like I do want a partner.
Mm-hmm.
I had a partner before, but, long story short, he passed away. And looking back on it, he was such a great leader. That's why I followed him. Unfortunately, he passed away. So it's like, damn, like now I'm in a world where it's like, oh, snap, like, God, you done gave me a real true leader. And then I got to see what it was. So as a woman, thank you. I appreciate it. But it's just to show guys, like, he was 23 like this. And I was like, wow, like, this is amazing. And so it's just, fellas, listen, I see all the trolls up here. I'd be like, oh my God, you guys are harsh. Like, oh my gosh. I was like, sheesh, the power of the tongue.
Yeah.
Y'all not using y'all tongue powerful enough. You can't keep saying, this is why I'm gonna go to this person, this is why I'm gonna go to that person. No, like, you can't just give up so easily. That's just not how life is. Like the gentleman before us, he says it's gonna take sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice? If you're not, then this ain't for you, baby. Like, it's not. Yeah. So I'm sorry when I'm a little, but I'm excited, and I appreciate you just like having me up here. I really do. All right. Well, you have a good night. Bye.
So we are going to end it tonight. It has been a night. It was a great conversation. Just everything else was all in the mix. So what we're going to do is end it. I thank you guys for rocking with me this long through all the P-Ray Wi-Fi to the trolls. It has been something else. It was interesting. Yeah, it was fun. Gotta go. Thank you guys. Be blessed and tune in tomorrow. Lapeef, let's talk 7:30 Central Standard Time.
For that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Bruh. Come on.
Sure y'all tune in to Lapeef Let's Talk tomorrow, 7:30 Central. Appreciate all the support. Nope.